Hey, salut! Caroline, j'étais tout fucké. Tout fucké. Ben oui, bienvenue, mesdames et messieurs, dans l'After Show. Oui, l'After Show. On va aller voir si tout fonctionne. Voir si je suis pas en ligne. On a-tu du monde qui sont prêts pour un After Show? Ben oui. Je suis bien en ligne. Bon ben salut la gang, c'est On s'en craque une, l'After Show la gang, l'After Show. Écoutez, moi d'habitude je finis mes fins de soirée complètement tout seul à la maison, avec la chaîne à faire. Fait que je me promenais sur les interwebs, tranquillement, pas vite, puis j'ai réalisé une affaire. Ben simple. Ben simple. Ben simple. Les vidéos de réaction, ça marche. Fait qu'aujourd'hui, on va faire un essai. Au moins parti. On est dans l'after show sur mon setup temporaire. Et pour ceux qui étaient présents pendant le stream, vous allez voir derrière moi toute la scène que vous êtes habitués de voir dans le show. Mais là, ce qu'on va aller faire, c'est un petit peu différent. Une petite affaire pas pareille. Parce que dans le fond, il faut réagir à des vidéos sur l'Internet. Puis on va commencer ça avec un petit challenge, ne pas rire. Fait que, écoutez, je vais vous faire ça à live dedans la face, la gang. Live dans la face. Si vous me donnez une petite seconde, je m'en vais me chercher de la boisson. Puis on va aller faire un try not to laugh. So everybody that used to listen to the podcast, on s'en craque une. I must tell you one thing. Most of the after hour part might be in English, might be, might not be. I'm not sure. But if we try something, might work. Salut Jeff. Comme quand j'étais en train d'expliquer en anglophone. Écoute, c'est l'after show. T'as manqué le podcast ce soir. On avait Frank avec nous autres. On a jasé de plein d'affaires. Si t'attends d'écouter ça plus tard, gâte-toi bien fort, mon chum. Ça vaut la peine. C'était un bon épisode où on a jasé de plein d'affaires. Mais là, on est comme dans l'after show. C'est un petit impromptu. Puis ça se peut que ça disparaisse sur les interwebs direct après que j'aille terminer mon podcast. Parce qu'on ne sait jamais de ce qui va arriver avec ça. Mais vu que je me suis promené sur les interwebs et que j'ai vu que les affaires de réaction étaient populaires, je me suis dit pourquoi pas. And at the same time, I'll try to make us a little bit of stuff for an English public to try to expand our basis of viewer. Just to try. So we're gonna try a 1 hour and 18 minute try not to laugh challenge with some publicity because I'm too cheap to fucking pay for YouTube. So my friend, let's start this right fucking now. I'm gonna put some sound in my headphones and we're gonna go right here and see if I'm laughing or not. Fucked up once. How more Canadian can you get? Oh, that fucker's getting bullied, man. Twice in 3 videos. Ow. Pourquoi? Comment? The fuck? Il est sorti par la narine. Fail. It's on arrive. Here's the sound. Oh, we fucked up. Oh, we fucked up.
Oaks, my car broke. My car broke down. Oaks, my car broke down. Look.
Ah, come on, revire-les de bord. À toutes les fois que je suis sur le bord de la porte, tu l'as déjà pété de tous les bords. Ne jamais écouter de Korn dans votre char. Trop fort, ça fait péter airbag. Oh shit! Une mauvaise idée 2 fois, ça donne ça. The fuck. Oh god. Je pense qu'elle a trop bu, man. Bye bye. Fuck, man. Comment est-ce qu'il va, Jeff? T'es en forme? Ah. Tout décalissé son hélice. Ah, God. Ah, pas pire en forme, pas pire en forme. Travaille trop, comme d'habitude, mais c'est la vie. Tu l'avais dit que j'étais trop cheap pour pas payer les pubs. Ah, c'est pas drôle, c'est pas drôle. On va aller trouver d'autres choses. Ouais. Faut, on se trouve ça du contenu intelligent. Hein? Du contenu intelligent. Whoop. Connaissez-vous le History of Everything podcast? En fait, on est en période préélectorale. On va aller chercher son channel pour aller voir c'est quoi son dernier vidéo. Ça, c'est un YouTuber, dans le fond, qui fait du contenu politique. Très à droite. Je suis pas toujours tout à fait d'accord avec ce qu'il fait, mais on va regarder c'est quoi son opinion aujourd'hui sur ce qui se passe au Canada. on va être clair là-dessus, là, c'est pas 15 points, c'est 0,15 sur le taux de taxation pour le taux directeur, 0,15. Ouais, pour ceux qui ne comprennent pas un peu la mise en situation, c'est que dans le fond, le gouvernement libéral a promis de mettre un cap maximal pour la dette canadienne qui était à 40 billions de dollars, donc c'est 40 milliards. Il était supposé avoir un cap sur la dette nationale de 40 milliards. Puis on va savoir dans le fond lundi au dépôt, très très en retard, du résumé budgétaire de la dernière période gouvernementale. Si ce budget-là a été respecté, si le 40 milliards de dette canadienne a été respecté, c'est Chrystia Freeland dont il est en train de parler qui va en faire l'annonce. Là, il est en train de parler du prix de la taxe carbone qu'il va nous donner sur l'alimentation, les jeux pour enfants, les vêtements d'hiver, les jeux vidéo et sur l'alcool à prendre note. Vous allez avoir 2 mois de break de taxes. Donc, vous allez voir votre facture d'épicerie descendre, vous allez voir votre facture d'alcool descendre, vous allez voir aussi votre facture de Noël si vous avez attendu jusque-là pour acheter vos cadeaux. Ce qui est entre toi et moi fucking trop tard pour permettre aux Canadiens et aux Canadiennes d'avoir un break de taxes sur veut pas ce qui est en train de se passer. Le break de taxes, c'est un peu une illusion en tant que tel parce que dans le fond, ce break-là arrive trop tard pour le temps des fêtes pour ce qui est des cadeaux de Noël. Ce break-là arrive trop tard pour le temps des fêtes pour tout ce qui s'appelle, dans le fond, donner un break aux Canadiens, à part pour ce qui est de la bouffe pendant cette période-là, par rapport aux vêtements d'hiver, par rapport aux jeux pour enfants, par rapport aux vêtements pour les enfants. Trop tard, tant qu'à moi, parce que cette taxe-là n'est pas encore en vigueur. Et ce que les libéraux ne se vendent pas, c'est qu'une fois que cette taxe-là va être, ce break de taxe-là va être terminé, dans le fond, ils vont doubler la taxe. So, for our English viewers, Trudeau promised a GST tax break for Christmas periods for 2 months, and this break will be followed by a doubling of the carbon tax, which will double the amount of tax that we will put on food, children clothing, and everything, basically. transport too. He will double the tax. So basically, we are fucked. No other way to say it. We are just screwed by Justin Trudeau right here because he gave us a break. So he's gonna double the tax after. But hopefully we'll be in election by then, and the Conservative Party will win, axing the tax as they promise, if we believe in those promises. So let's keep listening with what Trudeau have to say here. Let's go back a bit. Point 15%.
Twice this past week saw that this House has no confidence in him.
You don't elect the Prime Minister, dipshit.
Canadians are now approved for access to dental care for the coming year. These are things that he stood against, but Canadians are getting anyway.
Politicians don't elect the Prime Minister. Get that through your freaking head.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is silencing his own finance minister. She was already wildly irresponsible with the public purse, but not irresponsible enough for him. She wanted to keep the deficit at a already massive $40 billion. He said it's not enough. Canadians are not paying enough inflation, according to him. So once again, did she voluntarily smash through her fiscal guardrail, or did he push her?
Yeah.
Woo-wee!
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition puts on these little performances
Will he answer?
Because he wants to
Put one on too. You're a drama teacher.
from the facts. We have the lowest deficit amongst G7 countries and will continue to. We are the third largest receiver in the world of foreign direct investment, #1 per capita in the G20, because countries around the world and companies around the world have confidence not just in Canada but in Canadians. The question that people should ask is, why doesn't the Leader of the Opposition have confidence in Canada or confidence in Canadians?
He does. That's why he's calling for an election. He thinks Canadians are going to make the right decision.
Colleagues are very...
He's making a great point here. I think Canadians are tired of that woke left semantics that have been pushed on us years after years after years to build C-16, to build C-63, to build C-75, all infringing on our freedom of press, freedom of talking, freedom of free expression. Through every step of the way lately, the Liberals have shown their true colors, and they fucked up. All the way.
Enthusiastic to participate, but I'd invite them not to take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker.
Shut up.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Canadians do not have confidence in him, nor does his own party or his own cabinet, nor apparently does the Bank of Canada, which today was forced into an emergency panicked rate cut to confront the
0.15%. Just remember that. I know I'm French Canadian and I'm got a big ass accent, but still, 0.15%. That's not fast dropping. We were at what, 1%, 0% for a few years.
collapsing economy. The governor of the bank said the economy is softer than he expected it would be, and despite the fact that inflation is rising, that all four measures of it are above the target, he's being forced to cut the rates to save the economy from outright collapse. When will the Prime Minister stop breaking the economy and call a carbon tax election so we can fix it?
Sorry, I'm too cheap.
Again, I'm going to ask members not to take the floor unless recognized by the chair. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mais c'est carrément du
This is
Oh, sug on these, bro.
in English. The reality is, Mr. Speaker, he's just making this stuff up in a way you couldn't believe. Inflation has been within the target range of the Bank of Canada for over 10 months now. This is because we have been there to help Canadians with things like dental care, like a school food program, with investment.
A school food program that haven't served any food yet, and it cost us 220 millions up to this day to serve no additional breakfast to any kids nowhere in Canada. So we're paying who yet? Oh yeah! Fonctionnaires. Les fonctionnaires. On paye des fonctionnaires à 220 millions par année pour pas servir un seul snack. J'espère que les conservateurs ont voté contre. Moi, j'aurais voté contre. Si c'était une autre patente gouvernementale, on n'a pas de besoin.
That are growing the economy in a way that has brought down inflation and allowed the Bank of Canada to cut rates faster than just about any other G7 country. We are there for Canadians. He's the one voting against things.
Give me a break. Come on, Pierre, clap back.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Ah, ça prend un drink. J'en reviens. Ah, c'est déprimant les politiciens qui acceptent de même. On n'a pas le choix. On va y aller avec le thème du show, on va s'en craquer.
You know what's up? Inflation's up. Unemployment is up. Inflation is up. It's not only up, every single measure of inflation is now above its target. Unemployment is up. It's at 10% in Toronto now.
Order.
I didn't hear any of it, Greg.
Oh, wait,
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Please start again.
You know what's up? Inflation's up.
Yep.
All four measures of inflation are now above target. Unemployment's up. In Toronto, it's over 10%. You know what else is up? Housing costs. They've actually doubled. They've risen more than in any other country in the G7. You know what else is up? Food bank use is up. It too has doubled, with 2 million people lined up at the food bank. And you know what else is up again? The
Myself, I'm near that. I'm working as an electrician. I'm making pretty good salary, but my cost of living is going up and up and up and up. My apartment costs about 35% more than 2 years ago. Doesn't make any sense. Why? Inflation?
promise-breaking inflationary deficit. So why doesn't he tell us, if he's figured out how to count, what the deficit will be this year?
Wow, man. There you go.
Just a note here, I don't always agree with Mistersunshine when he go down into insulting people and painting some character as funny or just shitting on people. I'm not in that part. I don't condone that. I'm really more of an opinion guy. I'm pretty fucking far right, for real. I'm not religious, not necessarily a gun-toting right crazy, but economically and politically, I'm pretty right. I wouldn't say far right as the ideology that come with it, but I'm a right-leaning person, and right now, what happened in Canada, I don't like it at all. Since Bill C-16 3 years ago, and I'll be frank, I voted for Trudeau back in 2017, if my memory serves me right, for cannabis legalization. I vote for him because I wanted marijuana to be legal. Because there's no reason for it to be illegal, as most drugs shouldn't be illegal. If we look at other countries that legalize our drugs, yes, they had an increase of overdose consumption, and they had an increase in every fucking metric you could imagine after legalizing. But as time goes by, those metrics always go down and down and down and down and down, because it's not that kind of devil anymore. It's not that unknown thing. It's not that new thing. It's now a normal thing. And you know drugs are bad for you. If you don't know that drugs are bad for you in 2024, man, you got a problem. And personally, yes, I use drugs. I have used drugs in the past. I'm now sober if we talk about chemical drugs. So every type of drugs you could think that speed, downer, hoppers, laughers, name it. I've used them. I was one of those users. Now I'm clean. It's been 9 years now since I didn't use synthetic drug. Now I smoke weed, drink a few times a week. Maybe it's a problem, maybe it's not. My place to judge, not yours, not anybody's. As long as I pay my bill, nobody can say a thing. But still, I vote. I will say it. I voted for Trudeau for legalization of marijuana. I did. But right now, I will not fucking vote for that guy. Right now, I'm leaning more Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party on their policies only. It's not opinion or the show one or all the shit that goes with it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care at all. It's a politics show. I don't particularly like Pierre Poilievre, like at all. I think he's a bit too extreme. I think he's too far right, but still, I align with the ideology of that party, and I don't believe in a liberal party in power anymore. And if you look at the polls right now, it's about 79% conservative, or 78% the last time I checked. I'm not up to date, but still, right now, Canada's leaning more right and more right and more right as more DEI politics are implemented, as more far-left politics are implemented, and as the cost of living is rising, as inflation is rising, as we see the Liberal government not acting on those problems. Let's continue.
Oh, yeah, Freeland's hiding today. She's not even there.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, one has to take a moment to appreciate how difficult it must be to be the leader of the opposition at a time when things are getting better for Canadians. He spends all his time, and has for the past...
That's enough.
I'm going to ask members, please.
Pierre's speed scroll on his phone.
From Portage, Lisgar, as well as
There's a bunch of hi Pierres in the chat.
floor,
Hi, Pierre.
unless recognized by the Speaker.
How is life better for Canadian? My life ain't getting better. I'm a straight white male. I'm celibate. I'm not nowhere in your freaking policies. And more men are like me. More and more guys stay alone. Through the years, through everything, we are now part of Canadian, and my life ain't getting better.
I'm going to invite the Right Honourable Prime Minister to start again.
Mr. Speaker, the challenges faced by the Leader of the Opposition is that he's spent so long explaining to Canadians that everything is broken, that when things start to get better,
And he's the guy that said everything's broken because of the Conservative Party that was in power 9 freaking years ago. You haven't corrected any of the mistakes that have been done from the previous administration at all. Because it's not his fault. It was the Conservative Party 9 freaking years ago.
He refuses to actually help Canadians. He's voted against a tax break for Canadians.
A tax break that will double the tax afterwards? I would have voted against it too.
Over the next few months, he's voted against the dental care that's helped all.
That we can't afford because we don't invest enough in our defense. We got too much humanitarian views and money that goes out of the country because our programs are freaking lifelines for people that don't want to work. Why not?
Already well over 1 million Canadians. He is stuck in a place where, as Canadians are starting to come through the difficult times the global economy has put them in, he needs to continue to talk down Canadians, talk down our economy, and scare people into voting for him. It won't work.
Puis tout continue à le prendre pour des caves. Fuck off.
Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about that back and forth debate between Pierre and Justin Trudeau. Next up, we're taking a look at Tiff Macklin, who provides this good, this bad rate cut announcement.
See, man.
Here we go. 50 basis points. What is going on? Is this good? Is this bad? What the heck is happening? How can the Bank of Canada, didn't they do 50 basis points last time? How can they keep dropping the interest rate? That's got to mean we're good, right? Oh my goodness, interest rates are coming down. People can afford houses, right? Is that what this means? I don't know. Let's take a little look here. Let's take a look.
I'm very pleased to be here with the Senior Deputy Governor, Carolyn Rogers, to discuss our policy decision. Today, we lowered the policy interest rate by 50 basis points. This is our 5th consecutive decrease since June.
Whoa, 50 basis points. 0.50. Un demi%. Half a percentage. Keep that in mind. When they say 50, it's 0.50%.
And brings our policy rate to 3.25%. Monetary policy has worked to bring inflation back to the 2% target. Our policy focus is now keeping inflation close to target. We're seeing in the economy and how that played into our decision. In the United States, the economy continues to show broad-based strength, and inflation has been holding steady. The U.S. dollar has appreciated against most currencies, including the Canadian dollar. Canada's economy...
Canadian dollar that has been its lowest since 15 years if you look at the US dollar. We're getting poorer by the minute.
Grew by 1% in the third quarter, which was slower than we expected. Recent data also suggests growth will be lower than projected in the final quarter of this year.
No shit.
Growth in the third quarter was pulled down by business investment, inventories, and exports. But consumer spending and housing activity both picked up as lower interest rates started to boost household spending.
I gotta challenge that. I don't think household spending has picked up. I think that that has to do with maybe seasonally because we're heading into the holidays, so people are buying gifts. But I wouldn't say anything other than seasonally because rates are coming down that spending has picked up. In fact, people are crunching pennies now more than ever.
And getting
more
in
than
debt
ever.
More than ever.
And that's just based off of me talking to people. That's based off of the comments in the community. That's based off of using my own eyes and going around. Not that where I live in northern BC is the golden standard for how people are or are not spending money in Canada. But I disagree heavily with that. I very much disagree.
You're not a child. You're a man. So stop wearing so many layers to go outside and get the bearskin tactical.
Canada's job market is still softening. Businesses have continued hiring, but the number of people looking for work has been increasing faster than the number of jobs. The unemployment rate rose to 6.8% in November. It has been especially hard for young people and newcomers to Canada to find work. A number of policy measures have been announced that will affect the...
Hold on. hold on. Am I hearing this right? In one sentence, he says people are spending more per household, and then he just said it's harder for younger people to find jobs. Did I hear that right, or am I imagining things? Because to me, that's like they're both that contradicts each other. It doesn't make any sense.
The outlook for growth and inflation in the months ahead.
Let's watch this back for like a minute back.
Very much disagree.
Canada's job market is still softening. Businesses have continued hiring, but the number of people looking for work has been increasing faster than the number of jobs. The unemployment rate rose to 6.8% in November. It has been especially hard for young people and newcomers to Canada to find work. A number of policy measures have been announced that will affect the...
Hold on.
He is right. It's contradicting one another. You say, oh yeah, we got more money, and I did this. The sentence after that is like, oh yeah, people have hard time finding job. More money, hard time finding job. There's a problem there. Contradict each other.
Growth and inflation in the months ahead. Immigration targets, which suggest GDP growth next year will be lower than we forecast in October. The effects of lower population growth on inflation will likely be more muted.
Have you heard? Lower GDP than anticipated. Already our GDP was freaking low. Now it's lower than anticipated. That sucks, man. That just sucks. We are at a crucial time in Canada's history and a place in the world, because right now the Northwest Passage is like opening up years by years. That trade corridor is gonna be more and more accessible, and if it become a viable commercial route, it means that hundreds and hundreds of ships could go by Canada's territory into Canadian waters, not international waters, but Canadian waters. So we will have a stronghold on the commercial and economics that go through our country. That will be crucial for Russia. That will be crucial for most of the Eastern European continent. So if we don't position ourselves into a position of power, of economic stability, and we don't present ourselves as a formidable army power as we used to be. Canadians used to be respected in every special forces because our GTF2 were great. We used to have tanks, we used to have great artillery, we used to have planes that were up to date. But right now, we got F-15, F-16, we got F-22 without fucking engines. We don't have no goddamn tanks. Our military is undertrained, underfinanced, underpaid. And right now we have some really big problem in recruiting people for the military. And that's a weakness. If we look into the future, and the Northwest Passage will be more and more open with every hotter winter we have right now. And if that become a viable commercial route that is open like 9 months out of the year, if we don't position ourselves as a strong country, we will be get fucked over. And right now, our biggest threat is like Trump with his 25% Canadian import tax that is coming. If we fall down under the economic stress that present, we won't have the opportunity to defend ourselves and position ourselves great in the future with that kind of new economic opportunities that we will have. Because if you have to transit by our place, maybe we'll be able to tax you a little bit or charge a little bit of tariff to go through the Northwest Passage. And if you look at the St. Lawrence River right now, you can't navigate it unless there's a captain from Canada that go on your ship and pilot it through the St. Lawrence River through Montreal and up, so you can deliver stuff and load up at the different port we have. If you see that kind of operation in the Northwest Passage, if we have trained ship captain that get all the ships through, it surely will be a tariff more for Canada if those waters are treacherous and are in need of a more specifically trained navigator or captain, if you will. We will position ourselves in a great strength, in a powerful place, if you will. So keep that in mind with everything that Canada do in the next 10 years, because with every years ice go back, Northwest Passage is more open, more and more and more and more, and we'll have a problem with that once Russia will want to move ship across that. So keep that in mind.
Because reduced immigration dampens both demand and supply in the economy.
Right now, immigration is a problem. I'm not racist. I don't care what color you are. There was a great philosopher and I'll say mind guy, because in like a better word for me in English, but there was a guy named Pierre Falardeau who said, I'll translate it in English for you. I don't care if you're white, red, yellow with purple buttons, purple eruption in your skin. I don't want to know where you're from. I want to know where you're going. If you fight with me, you're my brother. So I will reiterate in French. Je m'en fous si t'es vert, jaune, bleu, avec des pitons jaunes orange. Je veux pas savoir d'où ce que tu viens, je veux savoir où ce que tu vas. Si tu te bats avec moi, t'es mon frère. Keep that in mind.
Oh, our economy is going to slow down because we're cutting back on immigration. Here we go. Here.
He seems to be with me like on that one.
Here we go.
We'll have more to say on this when we release our next forecast in January. Other federal and provincial government policies, including a temporary GST break.
Forecast they haven't released for the fall period that they will release on Monday. So they will release something on Monday for the fall period, and the winter forecast will come on Monday.
Break on some consumer products, one-time payments to individuals, and changes to mortgage rules will likely affect the dynamics of household spending and inflation in the months ahead. Again, we'll have more to say on this in January.
And look at this. Interest rate now 3.25. Cut down 0.5 of a point. I've grown with interest rate at 1%. I thought I could buy a home at 1%. Before the pandemic, before the C word, we used to have interest rate in Canada at 1.15, 1.25, 1.5%. Right now, they're 3.25. I personally know people that just gone back to the bank, give their keys of their house, and say, I can't pay anymore because of 3.25% rate interest when they were promised something else. And the situation has been stable in Canada for like the past 15, 20 years economically. We have very low interest right here.
As always, we will look through the effects that are temporary and focus on underlying trends to guide our policy decisions. CPI inflation has been about 2% since the summer, and we expect it to be close to target on average over the next couple of years.
Have you heard? My memory is the inflation per year was around about 1.3. And now it's going down to near 2%.
We thought elevated shelter price inflation would continue to ease, and it has. And
when I pay more and more and more and more every freaking damn years for my 4.5 fucking loft with shitty walls where I can hear all of my neighbor. Right now they hate me. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm streaming on YouTube and I'm sure those guys are freaking out. And I pay like close to $1,000 a month for a shitty 4.5 with cardboard walls when I can hear my freaking neighbors fucking breathe.
The downward pressure on inflation from goods prices has also moderated as predicted. We expect the GST holiday to temporarily lower inflation to around 1.5% in January, but that effect will unwind after the GST break ends in mid-February.
After the GST break, it will double. Remember that. You think you will have more money in your pocket? Break it. You won't.
We will be looking at measures of core inflation to help us assess the trend in CPI inflation. While the upward and downward pressures on prices have been moderating, risks to the inflation outlook remain. Elevated wage increases combined with weak productivity could push inflation up. Or the economy could keep growing below its potential, which would pull inflation down. In addition, the economic outlook is clouded by the possibility of new tariffs on Canadian exports to the United States. No one knows how this will play out in the months ahead, whether tariffs will be imposed, what exemptions get agreed, or whether retaliatory measures will be taken. This is a major new uncertainty. To summarize, inflation is back to the 2% target, and lower interest rates are beginning to pass through to stronger spending by households. But the economy remains in excess supply, and the growth outlook now appears softer than we projected in October. With inflation back to target, we've cut the policy rate by 50 basis points at each of the last two decisions because monetary policy no longer needs to be clearly in restrictive territory. We want to see growth pick up to absorb the unused capacity in the economy and keep inflation close to 2%. The Governing Council has reduced the policy rate substantially.
Have you heard? Close to 2%, which is 0.7% more than what we used to in like last 20 years. Yeah, we're not fucking you up. Nah, we're not. Please, come on, listen to us. We got plans. Fuck off. Sorry. Going to take a piss. Go back. No, it's not.
about the matter. So I reached out to this guy on X. Government.exe is corrupt. And he's done a phenomenal job, amassed over 108,000 followers on X. Now, he has some very, very good takes. And it's kind of interesting because politically speaking, I'm more conservative. I'm like super pro Pierre, in case you haven't noticed. Government EXE is definitely not liberal, not conservative, not PPC, just totally like not really pro government parties, which is fine because that's not really important or relevant in this topic. Because
I'm kind of too. I'm more an anarchist. Less government, more free exchange, more people choosing with who they want to associate. More of an anarchist and a right person than most. But I'm still out of the normal political spectrum, if you will.
Because we're talking about the rate cuts specifically. So I encourage you guys to go over to his X account and give it a follow. I'll link it down below in the description. And then here's our back and forth talking about what the heck all of this means. Here we go. So thank you for spending some time with me to kind of go over and explain what it is that all of this means.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
So previously, a few months ago, the Bank of Canada brought down the interest rates 50 basis points. And as a first-time home buyer that purchased this house,
0.50. Keep that in mind. That 50 point is 0.50.
A couple of years ago, I got a mortgage at
0.50 of the percent. Not 50%, not 50 halving the interest rate. It's 0.50.
5.2%, right? Okay. Kind of high. Now interest rates have come down even further. As of today, they're coming down another 50 basis points. So 3.75 for the Bank of Canada, around 4.25 for the average person. Doesn't that seem good that interest rates are coming down?
Well, if you take a look at it, the last time the government, or the Bank of Canada, I should say, did cuts like this aggressively, this is the 5th interest rate cut in a row. So the last time they did this was, and they didn't do 5 in a row. They've never done 5 in a row for a very long time, but they aggressively.
After putting it up like in record rates during COVID.
Cut in 2020 during the COVID crisis. They aggressively cut in 2008 during the financial crisis, the subprime crisis in the United States, and
so we had some like really, really, really low interest rates since 2008. I was talking about 15 years. I exaggerated a bit. It's like, 2008, 2024. We're pretty close.
Aggressively cut in 2001. So these aggressive cuts basically are signaling to the market that the overall economy is weak, and they're trying to spur economic activity by making borrowing costs cheaper, as you alluded to.
And put your opinion down in the chat. I want to hear what you think about Canadian politics right now. Wherever you're from, if you're Australian, American, English, French, I don't care. What do you think about it?
Right, dropping the mortgage rate, so people can go out and and maybe buy a home or buy a car.
I got 3 fucking jobs. I can't buy a home. I can't. I don't have the spare money. If even if I try hard, I'll be able to buy that home and pay that home by myself in like 50 frigging years. I'm 31. I won't pay a home till I'm 81. No freaking way. I'll be dead or retired before that. There's no way.
Or make a large purchase that they would have to finance and take a loan out on. But the issue is this is all going to create, it's going to drive more debt. And, Canadians are indebted to the hilt, right? Like, the federal government is, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 trillion dollars in debt. Then you have all the provinces that are another 1.3, 1.5 trillion in debt combined. Then you have corporate debt, and then you have personal debt and mortgage debt.
And please, go to the Mistersunshine channel and like and subscribe to his channel if you want right-leaning opinions and update on Canadian politics.
On top of that, as a whole in Canada, we're close to 10 trillion, if not maybe a little bit more, in debt, and there's no way that we could ever pay this back. So ultimately, it's like a carrot. You're offering people a carrot into a mousetrap by taking on more debt that they could never pay back, which will lead to default.
So I want to break it down even simpler for someone like myself who might be tuning in. I'm assuming there are other people out there that are just like me that see a headline or just want a soundbite. Interest rates coming down. That seems good because now people can qualify for a mortgage, right? So if it's not good, then where should interest rates be for Canada to be better off?
Well, in order to cool inflation and to actually have, maybe price declines, because as you are well aware, the price increases since COVID have been astronomical. I mean, food prices have doubled, housing prices have doubled. I know Pierre Poilievre talks about this a lot. So when Chrystia Freeland said that inflation is coming down, that doesn't mean that prices are falling. It just means that they're rising more slowly. So in order to actually stop this inflationary expansion and stop prices from rising, you would actually need to increase the interest rate or the overnight lending rate that the Bank of Canada sets to at least what the annual inflation rate is. And I'm not talking about the government inflation rate. I'm talking about what the real inflation rate is in the economy. Even their own numbers show food and shelter prices are increasing at 5 to 6% a year. So a good place to set in interest rates would be at about 5 to 6% to offset the inflationary expansion. And obviously, this would cause a lot of pain in the economy, right? But what it would do, it would force the government to stop borrowing and stop spending, and it would actually allow for people to get their books back in order, because now they have to make the decision.
Right now, I don't agree with him, like at all. If you increase more of the interest rate, our dollar will be worth less and less and less and less and less. So I'm not on board with that one. I'm really not. Everything to bring down the cost of living and put Canadian money back in Canadian pockets. Right now, the problem is not that our inflation is running away or the interest rate are too low and we can't spend too much money. My opinion right now is like, it's more like in the range of our dollar right now doesn't represent what we work to have. I am an electrician, but I'm not what you could call a qualified electrician, because I do only temporary electricity though. So right now I'm not under the RBQ in Quebec legislation. So everything I do don't fall under the purview of construction regulation. And I'm still paid a good amount of money, and I work 2 other jobs on the side to make my situation better, if you will, to afford the kind of life I want. That is not a choice that I've made lightly. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, and right now we're trying with me and my friend to start a YouTube channel and make it grow to the point where we can maybe make a side hustle out of it. so I could drop 1 or 2 jobs out of the 3 and continue with it, because my primary job I just freaking love. I put up with so much shit just to keep it. I won't quit for a money problem right now, but still I'm getting poorer by the minute. Even if I do like it close to $30 an hour job, I can't afford a home. I barely can pay my rent. I barely can pay my food. I barely can pay gas in the tank just to go to work. I barely can pay the basic necessities I need to stay alive right now. Not counting in my insurance and in electric bills and in the internet. And right now, it's okay. I'm okay right now. I can pay everything. But I don't put money for my old days aside. I don't put money aside for a life project that I have, or trips, or anything. That's where I'm at right now.
Decision. Oh, can I go to, the movie theaters, or can I buy this car, or can I take this fancy vacation?
Nope.
Or should I, pay down the thousands of dollars of debt that I have because interest rates are rising and I can no longer service them and maintain my lifestyle that I currently am?
That's what it is.
As opposed to, if the interest rates continue to fall, they say, hey, you know what? It's cheap to service. It's cheap to borrow. Why don't we just, add another car onto that, or add another trip to Jamaica onto that? Whatever, we'll pay for it later, right? So that is the mentality, right? Is, borrow to consume, and put yourself further into debt, which is what they're doing, which is what they want. That is the economic philosophy that we've been following for decades. But on the flip side of that, or on my argument of that, is to actually force.
I'll give him 1 point. There's so many people I know that have been screwed up by banks and buying their first home, thinking that they were able to buy a much more expensive home that they could afford in reality, because the interest rates were so low, and they pushed farther and farther the limit to where people can borrow money. So right now, people are getting screwed up because they can't pay the mortgage they applied for, because they went up 2 point percentage on the national interest rate, and that fucked them up bad. That shouldn't be at all. And that's more on the bank part than in the interest rate part, on the government part. There's been private people that getting advantage of the low interest rate to make people spend more that they could afford. So my opinion on that particular point, it's more on private part. And I don't mean regulate them more. I mean people get smart. Know what you can spend, not what the guy at the bank tell you can spend.
Governments to force corporations and to force people to come to the realization that they can no longer do this, and it's time to pay the piper with higher interest rates.
So that's something that I've actually been working on myself, that really struck a chord with me, where people are just going out and they're spending and borrowing. And I'm actually trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to get 100% debt free. And so far I've been doing somewhat of a decent job, if I can say so myself. So if you had like a message to Canadians out there, or just normies that are watching the news that may not have time to consume this amount of political content that you and I do, what would that message be? Would you say go and borrow, or would you say something different?
Well, I would say, start paying down your debt. And even if you can't, tackle your debt all at once because I understand it is a burden and most people don't even want to look at it. So they try to, throw it in their closet, close the door and try to even and pretend that it's not there. So
work.
the first plan is to get into the mindset that this is a problem that you have to tackle. So before
debt is a problem.
That is a major problem. So you have to get into.
Does that include mortgage?
There's two things certain in life: debt and taxes. Right now we got both. And if you see debt and interest like tax, which most of it really is, you're still in those two categories. Two things certain in life: debt and debt.
As well. Yes. Any form of debt, right? Because specifically, if you have a mortgage and there's a loan on the mortgage, you don't actually own that home, right? The bank owns it, and you're trying to buy it back off of the bank. So a house with a mortgage on it is a liability. Especially if it's not generating income through rentals or whatnot. The only time a house is basically considered an asset would be a hard asset if there's no debt attached to it and it's generating income. So number one, get into the mentality of admitting that there is a debt problem, and number two, trying to start tackling that problem. And I want to bring up another point. I know that you don't have much time. We talked about this in mid-September, what cutting interest rates would do. And I know you weren't able to put the video on, but one of the things that I said that it would do, it would crush the Canadian dollar. And the Canadian dollar, when we had that conversation, was trading at 75 cents US. Today, it's trading at basically just.
Please, everybody, like and subscribe to Mistersunshine. It's the last comments in the chat. And if you're looking at it in real time, you can click on it, give a like, and subscribe to Mistersunshine for the good job you do on bringing us more politic Canadian news and more right-leaning news, if you will, contrary to most of the media in Canada that are really, 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 really left-leaning and pro-liberals, and then they are pissing themselves right now.
Over 70 cents US. So, a 4.5 cent drop might not seem like a lot, but in percentage points, it's, a 6.5% drop. So again, cutting interest rates, making debt cheaper, weakens the currency. And if you take a look at everything that we import, because we're no longer a manufacturing country anymore. There's no made in Canada aisle at the local Walmart.
Whoa. We still build stuff, a lot of it. Right now, our mineral industry is freaking primordial on the global scale, because we got cobalt, lithium, and other primary minerals that are important in the electric conversion of the motor fleet, if you will. All the gasoline engine will, by 2035, for some places, been replaced for electric engine. And Canada, we're pretty well centered in that kind of new technology or new place in the world for the electric community, if you will. We are not primordial if you think about it, but if there's a war going on and borders are pretty much closed and you just have to rely on a close ally, for the United States right now, Canada is like their best option. If we talk about uranium, we got some, we got cobalt, we got lithium, we got pretty much all the basic mineral you need to produce electronics and batteries for your supplies, batteries, and equipment you'll need to fight a war. So if there's a global war like tomorrow and all trade is pretty much shut down, and the airplanes are pretty closely watched by our enemies, and the boats are being hunted by submarines and shit like that. Right now, Canada's like the best option for those minerals and those important resources. Bon, c'est des ressources qui sont importantes en français for the U.S. to keep fighting this war and be well equipped and well placed and have a reliable chain of supply to their military industrial complex. It will be through Canada if there's a global war and they don't have access to some place like Africa or some place in Asia and Eastern Europe that are close to Russia, where they have those minerals to keep the war machine going on, if you will.
Everything comes from other countries. We import close to $300 billion a year from the United States, and 22 to $25 billion of that is food.
Oh, wow.
And so, if we're now devalued our currency by 5 or 6%, all the food prices, all the food that we have to import from the United States is now going to become 5 to 6% more. So that's just another negative aspect of what interest rate cuts do.
Okay. Well, thanks for the explanation and
That's why
breaking
we
down
pay
in
more for
simple terms. And just to add to your
groceries
comment
now.
there about us talking in September, we did try to make a video, but my stupid head wasn't able to figure out the recording. But this time we got it. And I'm pretty sure that you're recording, I'm recording, should flawlessly make the cut, at least this time.
Perfect. So if there's anything else, I'd be happy to go into detail. But other than that, thanks for having me on and giving me the opportunity to give my spiel.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for explaining things.
Yeah, till next time.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The rate cut is official. It's not looking good for Canada, and especially with a fall economic update provided just before the end of 2025, which will be on Monday, which is wild. Absurd even that Freeland is providing the fall economic update. We should have provided months ago in a few days, essentially. But hey,
fall, we're in December. Fall is over like 10 days from now. We're close to midnight. We are close to midnight, so it's more like 10 days, 9 days and 10. On the 21st of December, it's winter officially all over the world. It is the winter solstice, so it's winter. We're 9 days from that. 9 freaking days. And we will receive the fall budget.
Canada's burning, we might as well laugh together or cry together, because I'll be honest, it's pretty emotional and it's very turbulent times here in Canada. That is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. On your way out, I would like to encourage you guys to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.
This is the coolest innovation of our life.
So we'll say thanks to Mistersunshine for the great video and the opinion, as always. I like his view on Canadian politics. Most of it. Sometimes he falls in like that kind of personal attack. I don't believe in kind of insulting tactic that some people can use to reduce the idea of someone or kind of change the narrative in their way. And I'm not saying he's doing that all on purpose or all willingly, if you will. I think yeah, he's mostly genuine in how he presents his opinion and how we talk to people. But I think there's a little bit of show that's put into it just to maybe be a little bit more edgy and give him that a little something more that get people more on the fringe if you think about it. If you're really far right or just a little bit right, you can touch all of those people because most of the time he's sensible. He presents most things as they are, so pretty much the facts about it, and let you make your opinion about it. But there's a few subjects where he's very passionate about it, I think, and he presents more of his opinion, more than a little bit, not his opinion, a little bit more biased fact that will push his opinion forward more than he would do on a certain subject. But I think personally that it's all about passion and ideology and supporting what he thinks is better for a Canadian and is following. And for most of the time there, Mistersunshine, seriously, if you're ever watching for any freaking reason this video and looking at my content, first of all, I'm a French Canadian. Je suis un hostie Québécois, mais Québécois. Je sais que tu parles français. And I want to say thank you for the content, first of all. I enjoy watching most of it. The only part I don't like is like more when you talk about an individual and bringing him down. I personally think it's easy, if you will. But still, love your content, love what you do, love your opinions. They help me for most of what I do. Most of how I view the following an election and what it's the day-to-day political world looks like, because I see most of the debate, and I will watch a few more left-leaning content, which I won't present on my channel like at all, because I don't condone it. I don't want to present shit I don't condone. I don't want to present anything that I was ouais, stream tard, mais là, je m'amusais à faire comme un après-podcast. On a eu un podcast tantôt, mon bout de la mine. Puis malgré le fait qu'il y avait juste 3 notes sur le piano, on a fait un petit podcast avec un invité. Puis je me suis dit que ça méritait peut-être un after show. Puis j'ai eu le malheur de faire une opération de neigement genre avant hier, où ce que j'ai fini à 5h du matin. Fait que en finissant à 5h du matin, mon horaire est complètement fucké. Fait que là, je suis parti sur comme un stream bilingue parce que je suis en train de faire de la politique canadienne. Puis je m'amuse à réagir à du contenu d'autres youtubeurs. Je suis en train de regarder Mistersunshine, qui est si t'écoutes du stock en anglais un peu, puis que tu portes à droite, il risque d'avoir passé sur ton For You page. Il présentait. Ouais, on a eu un beau podcast. Mais tu sais, écoute, l'avantage de YouTube, là, c'est que le stream au complet, là, le 2 heures qu'on a fait avec notre invité Frank, tu peux l'écouter quand tu veux. Il est sur le channel. Puis tu t'amuses à regarder ça. Quand tu as du temps libre, ne serait-ce que de l'écouter rien que d'une oreille, parce qu'on est même pas beau à regarder. Fait que c'est ça. Pour asseoir, je me suis décidé de me faire un petit after show tout seul, finir mon petit drink, puis mon petit pack de white là. Puis j'étais en train de regarder du contenu politique. Puis là, écoutez de la politique canadienne présentement, c'est un petit peu déprimant, parce qu'on s'entend que Trudeau, il fait de la merde. Pendant ce temps-là, t'as notre Pierre Poilievre qui est conservateur de l'autre côté, qui s'épivarde les 2 bras dans les airs, puis qui essaie de mener son show, qui est à peu près autant fake que Trudeau. Ça reste que moi, politiquement, je suis beaucoup plus conservateur puis beaucoup plus à droite, mais ça reste que Poilievre, c'est un extrémiste, puis j'aime pas les extrémistes en général, mais j'aurais pas le choix de voter conservateur aux prochaines élections parce que c'est anybody but fucking Trudeau. Et voilà. Ah ben, si tu t'en viens ça brosse un petit peu, bienvenue au club, puis j'espère que t'es dans le club de ceux qui travaillent dans le même matin, parce que comme ça, on va pouvoir compatir en gang. Moi aussi, je m'en viens un peu rond après pas loin d'un spag. Des petites boissons. Fait que là, je me suis dit que j'allais me changer les idées Moi, t'es un fan d'histoire. T'es un fan d'histoire, puis parle anglais. Excusez pour ceux qui le parlent un peu moins. Je vais essayer de vous faire suivre avec moi, parce que pour ceux qui le connaissent pas, je vais essayer de vous faire découvrir un gars qui passe sous le nom de Fat Electrician. Ok. T'as parti ta job là une semaine. Une nouvelle job en plus. Désolé que t'aies perdu ta job. J'espère que ça s'est quand même bien fait pour toi. Très content que tu te reçois et trouves une nouvelle job. J'allais te proposer de venir te joindre à ma superbe compagnie si t'étais dans mon bout. Je t'aurais donné une référence de la mort, mon homme, si t'étais pas loin de nous autres, pour faire l'événementiel, te promener dans des festivals dans la capitale provinciale, nationale, Ottawa, provinciale, Québec. Mais super content pour toi que tu dois trouver une job, mon chum. Puis content que tu aies le temps de venir faire un tour sur mon délire de la veille. Fuck it. Comme j'étais en train de dire, je vais vous faire découvrir à soir un dude qui roule sur YouTube sous le nom de Fat Electrician. Ok? Je vais mettre son YouTube dans le chat immédiatement parce que je ne peux pas faire autrement. C'est présentement, tant qu'à moi, un des meilleurs raconteurs sur YouTube. Pour ceux qui écoutent beaucoup d'histoires sur YouTube, peuvent avoir entendu parler de Umpaville, Mr. Baldwin. Je suis désolé, pour moi, le meilleur raconteur d'histoire, c'est le Fat Electrician. Il m'a appris des faits sur la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, puis sur des personnages qui ont participé à la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, qui m'ont excessivement surpris. Puis, je pense que tout le monde a déjà, regardé le film, ou à peu près Fury. Avec Brad Pitt, avec le beau petit surnom de War Daddy, avec le beau petit tank, Fury, la grosse guerre. Ce que vous savez pas, c'est que dans le fond, ce film-là était basé sur un gars qui s'appelle Lafayette Poole. Lafayette Poole a réellement existé, a réellement eu le surnom de War Daddy et a réellement été un fucking héros pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Ben, Tata Boutlamine, t'es-tu dans le coin de Québec? T'aimes-tu ça, l'événementiel? Si oui, ben, on va rentrer en contact, puis on va te trouver de la job, mon homme. Moi, je suis capable d'aider quelqu'un dans le besoin, ça va me faire plaisir. Ben écoute, de ce temps-ci, de la job, il y en a. Fait qu'on va te souhaiter de te retrouver une job au PC, puis de te remettre sur pied, man. Fait que là-dessus, on va aller voir le vidéo de Fat Electrician. Un de mes créateurs de contenu sur YouTube préférés, sincèrement. Je serais capable d'écouter ce qu'il produit comme si c'était de la TV, 24/7. C'est hallucinant. Fait que, on décolle là-dessus. On va réagir aux vidéos de Most Gangster Tanker of World War II, Lafayette War Daddy Poole, qui raconte un peu l'histoire du personnage qui a inspiré le personnage principal joué par Brad Pitt dans Fury. Donc, on écoute ça, toute la gang ensemble. Je vous le dis, je l'ai déjà écouté, c'est malade.
Before you ask, yes, this is in fact the guy that Brad Pitt's character in the movie Fury is based off of, and yes, the nickname War Daddy was real. Today we're talking about the most gangster tank commander in American history, Lafayette Green Poole, his incredible crew, and their infamous M4A...
Attendez, ceux qui parlent moins anglais, je vais au moins mettre les sous-titres. Ça se peut que ça vous aide.
176W Sherman tank, known by its moniker painted across the side, In the Mood. This video is brought to you by War Thunder, the best and most realistic vehicle combat video game that has ever been made. This game has over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, boats, and ships. Seriously, pretty much every vehicle that's been used in armed conflict from the 1920s until modern times is in this game. My favorite part about this game is the history, Easter eggs, and how realistic it is. For example, since we're talking about Lafayette Green Pool, we can actually go in, pick his exact tank, the M4A176, and then we can customize it to put In the Mood on the side of it, just like he had on his tank. And then you can hop over to X-ray mode and see how much work they actually put into this game, making X-ray versions of every single vehicle, showing the crew and the different components of all of it. And then they use this X-ray mode in gameplay, so when you shoot at an enemy tank, you're not just shooting at the tank until it blows up. You can shoot the enemy tank and disable the tracks. You could take out the engine, you could kill a single member of the crew, or you could take out the entire crew. And the best part about all of this, it's free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. So if you decide you want to give it a try, I will have it linked in the description down below, and when you use my link, you're going to get a bunch of free stuff unlocked right off the bat. Vehicles, skins, in-game currency, everything you need to get started, so go check it out. Let's get back to the video. Once upon a time, July 23rd, 1919, two twins would be born, John Thomas Poole and his younger brother by 5 minutes, Lafayette Green Poole. They both spent their entire childhood growing up in Texas. The Great Depression happened when they were 10 years old. Despite that, they were both star athletes in middle school and high school. And then when they graduated from high school in 1937, John and Lafayette, the two brothers, wanted to join the Navy together. Like everything else they'd done in their life at this point, they go down to the local recruiting office together and they both sign up for the US Navy. Then they go to get their physicals. John passes with flying colors, but Leigh, on the other hand, is rejected because his eyesight isn't good enough because he has one bad eye from an injury from when he was younger. Which is turning into a weird pattern at this point because there's a shocking amount of badasses that are originally rejected from the US military for apparently having bad eyesight. I mean, off the top of my head, we've got Lawson Red Ramage, the first submarine commander to earn the Medal of Honor, which I don't know why your vision needs to be super good inside of a submarine, but whatever. Then we've got Willis Ching Lee, literally an Olympic sniper that was the greatest battleship commander of all time, that after he had won the Olympics for sharpshooting was told that his vision wasn't good enough. And then of course we have Jay Zemer, Medal of Honor recipient, the pilot of the most decorated air crew in US history that was also rejected because his vision wasn't good enough. And now we have Lafayette Green Poole, the greatest American tanker of all time, also being rejected because his vision just isn't quite good enough.
Je sais pas si vous avez suivi, là. Mais il est en train de... Il a nommé genre 4 noms qui ont été genre super important pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Mais quand je dis genre super important, c'est genre primordial dans des combats de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, qui à la base n'ont pas été acceptés dans l'armée parce qu'ils ne voyaient pas assez bien. Dont un qui a gagné une médaille d'or aux Olympiques en tir de précision. No fucking shit, là. En tir de précision, il n'a pas été accepté par l'armée parce que ses yeux étaient pas assez bons. On parle de Ching Lee. Un autre vidéo de lui qui est genre super intéressant, un gars qui était dans la balle. Il a traité, ça a été genre le premier à traiter les guns sur un battleship comme un sniper, puis de calculer dans le fond la direction de chacun des guns indépendamment à la place de donner une coordonnée genre à toutes les guns one shot. Toutes les guns étaient traitées indépendamment pour tirer comme un sniper. Ce qui a rendu les battleships, les battlecruisers, puis tous les bateaux, des vaisseaux pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale beaucoup plus efficaces à cause de sa compréhension du tir. Mais là, ça c'est une autre vidéo. Présentement, on parle de Lafayette War Daddy Poole. Mais ayez en tête que si vous n'avez pas des bons yeux, là, probablement que vous allez faire des hosties d'affaires de malade.
Now, that being said, here's where Poole's just a little bit different from those other heroes. He's trying to join in 1937. World War II has not kicked off yet, so he's not overly motivated to join the military. So, unlike the other three, he does not cheat on his eye exam to get in. He decides that he's just going to go off to college and become an engineer. So that's what happens. John ships off to go get trained for the Navy. Leigh decides he's going to stay around town. He helps his parents out on the farm. He goes off to college to become an engineer. And he also decides that he's going to start boxing to earn some extra money on the side. And over the course of the next 3 years, he never loses a single match because he is an incredibly talented boxer. Then, September 16th, 1940, America decides to reinstitute the draft because World War II is looming on America. Because of this, Lay decides that he's going to try to join the military again, but he's concerned that the Navy still has records of him failing his vision test from a couple of years ago. So, instead, this time he goes to an Army recruiter, gets signed up, goes to the physical, and this time he does what all great American heroes do. He cheats on that eye exam and he passes. Seriously, the impact that a bunch of dudes cheating on the eye exam to get into the military has had on the world that we live in today is profound. So Poole ships off to training, he excels at everything he does, and then every time he gets leave, he's always going out and taking boxing prize fights to win more money on the side. So he finishes training, gets assigned to the 30...
Ça me fait penser à moi. Moi, t'as une journée de congé, je vais faire quoi? M'aller prendre un match de boxe. Moi, je fais quoi? Je prends genre 2 jobs sur le side.
32nd Armored Regiment, where he rapidly becomes a sergeant and a tank commander, again continuing to box every second he can. As World War II ramps up, the 32nd Armored Regiment's training gets more and more intense as they get put in different climates in different places all over the country. They train in Louisiana, they train in Pennsylvania, and now they're out in the Mojave Desert in California. And at this point, Poole's developed quite a name for himself. Everybody knows who he is. He's a 6'3" boxer that's 41-0. He's never been defeated, and he is one of the best, if not the best tank commander that they have. And because of this, he gets a little bit of sway with how things go. So he actually goes out and starts picking his own tank crew, and he picks the best of the best. In the driver's seat, he's got 24-year-old Private First Class Wilbert Richards, aka...
Fait que t'es autant pas chanceux que moi, ça veut pas pousser ses côtés, tabarnak. Ici de ses joues, là. Je fais ce que je veux, man. Je fais ce que je fucking peux, man. Ça pousse pas, man. Je fais ce que je peux, mais c'est tout ce qu'il y a. Je sais pas si t'es mal pris comme moi, là. moi, c'est pas un choix, man. C'est fucking pas un choix.
A Baby, a nickname that he got when the crew was out for dinner one night at a diner, and the waitress looked at him and said, "I didn't think they let babies join the army." Despite having...
Y'a rien de plus militaire qu'un gars qui se fait traiter de bébé en allant chercher un snack, pis que son surnom c'est Baby.
Having a baby face, Poole said that he was the best tank driver in all of World War II. He was so good that he could parallel park a Sherman tank in the middle of downtown New York during rush hour traffic. In the gunner's seat, we have Willis Ollier, aka Groundhog, a nickname that he got in the Mojave Desert because he constantly wore his goggles and had dirt rings from the goggles around his eyes at all times. He is the oldest man in the crew at 28 years old. He was a factory worker at an ammunition plant. He was exempt from the draft, but he wanted to go to war anyways, so much so that he had to go to the government to get permission to quit his job so that he could be in that tank. At loader, we've got 21-year-old Delbert Boggs, aka Jailbird, a nickname that he got because he was allegedly there because the judge gave him the option of go to war or go to jail. Standing at only 5'6", 120 pounds, Jailbird had probably the most physically demanding job in the entire tank crew. Despite his stature, he was able to load that gun faster than Poole could say fire. And then at assistant driver and bow gunner, we have Arthur Reed, who has not quite earned a nickname yet. The crew then decided that their fearless leader needed a nickname too. Poole was already becoming a legend. He was an undefeated boxer. He was one of the best tank commanders America had, and he made sure that everybody in his crew was squared away and taken care of at all times. He took complete responsibility for them. He was just like their dad, and for that reason, they gave him one of the coolest nicknames ever, and the same one from the movie Fury, War Daddy.
Hey! Don't fuck yourself, War Daddy!
Cost is too high.
Still owe me 40 bucks!
Unlike the movie, however, Poole did not decide to name his tank Fury. He gave it a nickname that is 1,000 times cooler.
Moi, j'ai
and
écouté
Hollywood
Full Metal
decided to
Jacket
change
plus
for
en
no good
anglais qu'en
reason because they
français,
named their
man.
tank.
Je suis désolé, fait que moi, pour moi, l'engagé baleine, si je me souviens de la traduction, c'est Private Paul. Moi, personnellement, je suis Private Joker. Je suis un fucking comédien, man. Ça aurait été moi, man. C'est-tu toi, John Wayne, ou est-ce que c'est moi? Bon, moi, j'aurais pas allé à la maison de l'adjudant puis commettre l'adultère avec sa sœur.
In the mood. When asked what that meant later,
pourquoi ils l'ont changé dans le film? Dans le film, il s'appelle Fury. Le vrai nom du fucking tank, c'était In the Mood. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il était dans ce mode-là. C'était mal. Moi, j'aurais pas changé le nom.
Lafayette simply said, "That's just how I felt at the time. I was in the mood." So we've got the crew, we've got the tank, everybody has a cool nickname, it's time to get ready for war. They start training together super hard and become one cohesive unit. At this point, Poole, who's still been going out and boxing every chance he can, ends up joining the Golden Gloves tournament, and he actually ends up winning and becoming a Golden Gloves champion, which qualifies him for the national tournament in Chicago. At this point, the Army is willing to let him take leave and go participate in this national tournament because it looks really, really good for the U.S. military if they have an active duty sergeant that's a tank commander that's winning national titles for boxing. Poole, however, decides against it because he has his crew, he has his tank, and he's not going to let them go off to war without him. So he decides to...
Ça prend-tu une paire de couilles pareil pour dire genre, je suis désolé, là, moi, ton titre national, là, pour les Golden Gloves de vos States, m'en va à la guerre avec mes chums. Je peux pas laisser mon crew aller, man. Fuck that. Fuck that. M'en va débarquer en Normandie à la place.
Forego his dream of becoming a national Golden Glove boxing champion and instead goes off to war. Because of that, he is then offered a slot as an officer, which he also refuses because he doesn't want to leave his crew. He decides that he's going to keep being an NCO so he can be a tank commander and go out with his guys. Shortly after that, they would all ship off to England in 1943. Once they get to England, they just keep training, getting ready, waiting for orders, and then in April 1944, a famous boxer by the name of Joe Louis, aka the Brown Bomber, comes over for a morale mission where he's going to box with some of the troops, you know, get everybody ready for war, get them hyped up, doing something cool, and guess who gets slotted to fight him? Yeah, Lafayette Poole boxes Joe Louis 2 months before D-Day, and if you don't know who...
Le gars, man, il a eu sa chance pour les Golden Gloves, il a dit non. Là, il y a genre le champion du monde. Le gars qui a la ceinture qui vient se battre pour encourager les troupes. Pas sûr que ça va être comme tous les autres matchs que Joe Louis a pogné. Puis Joe Louis, c'était un boxeur. Même niveau que Mohamed Ali. Ça fait partie des légendes.
Who Joe Louis is. He's literally one of the greatest boxers in the history of the world. This dude has 69 wins with 52 knockouts. He has one of the longest reigning title runs ever. He is on a different level than Lafayette Greenpool, for sure. Despite that, everybody's hyped. The entire regiment is going to show up to watch War Daddy go toe-to-toe with the Brown Bomber, and it's going to be the coolest thing that's ever happened. So they have this boxing match, and you have to understand, this is a recipe for disaster, because Joe Louis is just over here trying to do the right thing, help with the war effort, raise morale of the troops before they go off into battle. You know, he's being really cool about this whole thing. He's going from unit to unit, and he's boxing a new Army guy every night for like months straight. So I mean, this is nothing more than a glorified sparring match to him. He's not going in there trying to actually hurt the Army guy. Hopefully the Army guy's not going on to hurt him. He's just going out there to put on a show. Poole, on the other hand, remember, just gave up his dream for a national title in boxing so that he could go to war, and now the world heavyweight champion is there and he gets to box him. So in the back of his mind, there's got to be a part of him that's just like, I mean, maybe I could take this guy. So Poole goes in there obviously wanting a real fight. And that's exactly what he got. The match starts. Joe Louis goes in there. He's dancing around. He's pulling his punches. He's putting on a show. He's being super nice to Poole. And then the first chance Poole got, he threw a hard punch and just cracked Joe Louis. Allegedly stumbled him a little bit. And then Joe Louis tied up with Poole and whispered in his ear, "I'm going to teach you a big lesson." The ref then broke him apart, and Joe Louis proceeded to beat the shit out of Poole in front of the entire regiment. Poole is later quoted as saying that he was turned any which way but loose by the Brown Bomber. Now, the silver lining is that Poole somehow managed to not get knocked out, which is an achievement in itself going up against Joe Louis. And just so we're clear, if you're not familiar with combat sports, Joe Louis is absolutely not being a dick right now. This is 100% expected. This is how everybody acts in that situation. And Lafayette Poole knew that's how this would go down the minute he decided to crack him, because he had like 40 plus boxing matches. He knew what he was getting into. He got exactly what he was looking for, and it's absolutely hilarious. And in War Daddy's defense, it is actually way cooler to say I got in a legitimate fight with Joe Louis and survived, even though I got my ass beat, than it is to say I had a glorified sparring match with Joe Louis one time. And pretty much everybody else agrees, and this serves to grow Poole's reputation even more. Fast forward 2 months, June 23rd, 1944, War Daddy and his crew would arrive at the beaches of Normandy. Normandy 2 weeks after D-Day. For the next 5 days, they would make their way to the front lines, following the trail of destruction left by the Allied forces before them. And on the 6th day, June 29th, 1944, they would go out on their first mission, attempting to drive the enemy further back. Using a combination of tanks and infantry, they would drive off the main road through crowds.
C'est quand même drôle. Le gars, il se pogne contre un champion du monde. 69 combats. T'as des victoires. 52 par knockout. Il fend le gars. Il le fend, là. Le gars se colle dessus pis il dit, va te donner une leçon, man. Il décide qu'il le brasse pis qu'il sac une volée, là. Pis il a quand même pas réussi à le coucher. Pretty fucking impressive.
Crop fields, and they would cut through the different fields, and each field was divided by this thin row of trees and bushes that was called a hedgerow. As they go through field after field and have the tanks drive through hedgerow after hedgerow, making a path for the infantry, they would come through another hedgerow where seemingly nothing was any different. As they continued to advance through the field, as soon as they reached the midway point, the two corners of the hedgerow they were in, up ahead of them, would open fire. They had walked directly into a German anti-tank unit's ambush as they began taking fire from anti-tank guns, machine guns, and Panzerfausts, or tank punchers, which were an early German rocket.
Pour ceux qui n'ont pas été en Europe et qui n'ont jamais, qui ont jamais vu, pas mieux que vous autres, mais à cause que j'ai étudié l'histoire un petit peu, les champs sont comme divisés par une espèce de bosquet, dans le fond, là, qui est fait en ligne, qui coupe vraiment la visibilité à pratiquement 100% sur ce qu'il y a de l'autre côté. Là. C'est comme s'il y avait une rangée de bois ou de plantes vraiment serrées, genre, entre chaque gros champ. Quand tu traverses un de ces bosquets-là, dans le fond, tu sais pas exactement ce qui t'attend de l'autre côté. Puis il est en train de raconter que, dans le fond, quand ils ont traversé un de ces bosquets-là, ils sont arrivés dans le milieu d'un champ, genre, puis ils se mettent à se faire tirer dessus des deux coins du ce qu'ils appellent un hedgerow, en anglais, qui est un des bosquets qui est le long d'un champ, genre, puis de chaque coin, ils se mettent à ouvrir le feu pour eux autres, puis ça va, mettons que ça va mal finir.
Rocket launcher designed to take out Allied tanks. The Germans were so well camouflaged in the hedgerows ahead that they couldn't even be seen. The only thing they could fire at was the muzzle flashes of the Germans firing at them first. As the Americans began to return fire, In the Mood was struck by a Panzerfaust, but it was deflected off of its armor because they were too far away when they fired it. And then a second, and then a third, and then a fourth. In the Mood had been hit with 4 tank fists and survived all of them. The American tanks, including In the Mood, attempted to drive forward to push through the ambush, but as they closed the distance between them and the German anti-tank unit, they came into the effective range of the tank punchers. In the Mood and 17 other M4s would be hit and knocked out. As Poole ordered his crew to bail out, he would come to the realization that his bow gunner and assistant driver, Arthur Reed, had been killed in action on impact. With so many tanks knocked out, the entire unit was forced to retreat, and in a matter of minutes, Poole's entire battalion had lost 25% of its men, 177 soldiers, and 18 tanks. So Poole's unit falls back to the rear and they begin consolidating, figuring out how many people died, how many tanks they lost, refitting, getting reinforcements, getting everything done. And Poole receives word that his tank, while it was knocked out, is salvageable and it's going to be up and running in a couple of weeks. At this point, most tank crews would be like, cool, I'll take a couple of weeks off hanging out back here, not getting ambushed. But War Daddy and his crew are absolutely furious that their friend was just killed, and they want to get back in the fight now, not in 2 weeks. So Poole demands a new tank, and his chain of command, seeing that their golden boy wanted a new tank, turns and says, here you go, and they give him their very first version of the new Sherman M4, the M4A176W, with an even bigger gun that's more capable of going toe-to-toe with German tanks. They are then immediately...
Ce qui est pas un petit détail. Parce que le gun qu'il y avait de base sur les Sherman n'était pas capable de passer à travers du blindage des tanks allemands. En ayant la version upgradée, ça punchait beaucoup mieux à travers du blindage allemand. Ce qui lui donnait une pas mal meilleure chance de réussir à se battre avec eux autres. Puis à peut-être s'en sortir. Parce que la moyenne pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, si ma mémoire est pas mauvaise, c'était genre 5 Sherman pour un tank allemand. Le problème, c'est que genre les États-Unis ont pompé des tanks en quantité industrielle pendant les États-Unis. Fait qu'il y avait genre. Fait que si ça prenait 5 Sherman pour tuer un tank allemand, ben il y en avait 6. C'est ridicule de même, ils les ont battus par le nom.
Bow gunner and assistant driver by the name of Bert Close, a 19-year-old kid that looks like he just got out of a high school classroom. And for that reason, he is immediately given the nickname Schoolboy as they paint In the Mood 2 down the side of their new tank and go back into the fight. Poole said he learned more in that first 3 minutes of combat than he did in the 3 years of training prior to that. He took note of how the Germans put their main anti-tank guns in the corners of the hedgerows to triangulate fire at the middle of the field, and they waited until they got into the middle of the field before opening fire so they could...
Excusez. Interlude musical. Faut que je me rende jusqu'à mon frigidaire. J'ai la putain de dalle. C'est assez...
couldn't retreat back into the hedgerows easily. For that reason, every time they cut through a hedgerow, they would immediately use the main gun and fire on each corner ahead of them, and then rake everything in between with machine gun fire, attempting to ambush the enemy first. And this extremely slow, painstaking form of combat went on for the first month, just field after field, ambush after ambush, fight after fight. It took them a month to go 5 miles further into enemy territory. And this wasn't just Poole's unit, this was the entire military fighting tooth and nail for every inch of land that they got. Because of this, General Omar Bradley decided to launch Operation Cobra on July 25th. The plan was to bomb the enemy first, and then bomb the enemy again and again.
Finalement.
And again, and then roll in with tanks and take care of whatever's left. On July 26, 1944, Operation Cobra will reach its apex when 3,300 Allied bombers dropped 14,000 tons of bombs in the span of 3 hours. Just for the record, so we're all clear, 14,000 tons is over 30 million pounds in 3 hours. With all the bombings breaking down the enemy line, the combat pace really picked up as In the Mood started traveling miles a day instead of miles a month. During that...
On va le donner les steaks, là. Sacoche pour réussir à mettre des bombes dans le front de quelqu'un. Comme le dirait le fait electrician, warhead on forehead. C'est tout le business, man. Ils sont malades. Hey. 14 000 tonnes d'explosifs en 3 heures. Ça prend une coupe d'avion, là. Débile.
That time, In the Mood 2 would come toe-to-toe with its first German Panther tank, and it would take it out in a single shot with its new and improved 76mm cannon. From that moment on, War Daddy, his crew, and In the Mood 2 led point on pretty much every single mission his unit ran, and he was driving...
Quand je disais que l'upgrade était importante.
The enemy back as fast as humanly possible. In the following days, it became pretty apparent to pretty much everybody that War Daddy and In the Mood 2 were in fact the main characters of this story, as he began sitting up higher and higher in his commander's position on the tank. Pretty soon, the other tankers began to describe it as he was sitting so high up on the tank that it looked like he was riding it like a bull, showing off his cowboy boots. Over the next several weeks, they put so many miles on In the Mood 2 and drove through so many hedgerows that they wore out the engine and it needed to be replaced. And at this point, Poole, being who he is like, I'm not waiting for that thing to get fixed, just give me another tank so I can keep fighting. And the chain of command is like, actually, that's perfect because now your original tank is fixed, so you can just have that one back.
No, God!
Poole immediately is like, no, absolutely not. It's older, it's slower, the gun is smaller, and most importantly, my friend died in the assistant driver's seat, and I don't want to look at that for the rest of this war. I'm not taking that tank.
Le gun est plus petit, mon chum est mort dans le mât passager. Fuck off.
He was then given a direct order to take the tank, to which he is like, okay. Fine. He then orders the rest of his crew to go over to In the Mood 2 and observe it getting fixed by the mechanics and having a new motor put in it, which is weird because they're not getting that tank back anyways, so why on earth is he doing that? In reality, he just wanted to make sure that his crew was somewhere so they couldn't get blamed with what he's about to do. So he goes over by himself, picks up his new tank, and then proceeds to immediately drive it directly into a lake. I mean, technically, we don't know that for sure. The only official documentation as to what happened to this tank is from the maintenance crew, and it says, and I quote, "The vehicle was believed to have been driven into a lake."
What a warship! Essayez ça, c'est malade, mais je trouve qu'on peut pas payer, pas avoir les pubs, fait que c'est ça.
And at this point, the chain of command is just like, okay, well, I mean, let's hold on. This is the golden boy. I don't want to get rid of him. Hear me out. He did just save a tank the other day that we were going to lose. He ran in front of a bunch of machine gun fire and got that tank back. So now that he threw this tank away, it's basically a net zero. I think we should just let it slide. Go ahead, give him a new M4A176W again, and we'll get him back on the front lines. And that's it. That's the whole story. They give him a new tank, and he goes back to fighting. Okay, do you understand how incredibly gangster that is? This is an entire another level of plot armor, okay? Going toe-to-toe with the enemy and, like, doing some crazy stuff and surviving, that's one level. Going toe-to-toe with Uncle Sam about his money is a completely another level of plot armor that most people can't even fathom. For example, when you go to get out of the military, they make you turn in every piece of equipment they ever gave you, ever. Okay, they're gonna pull out a sheet of paper that's this long with a list of all of it, and it's going to be the most ridiculous stuff on the planet. They're going to be like, yeah, we gave you a marker tube type in 2000.
S'il y a un Canadien, c'est pareil, là. C'est obligé de leur payer tout ce qu'ils t'ont donné puis que t'as pas retourné, là. Laissez-les dans le chat.
What the fuck is a marker tube type? Oh, a Sharpie. You gave me a Sharpie in 2003? Okay, I'll just pay for it. How much does the government pay for Sharpies? $79.95 is what we pay for fucking Sharpies around here. And then you have to pay the government $79.95 for a Sharpie that you lost 20 years ago, otherwise they negatively impact your credit score. The rest of us mere mortals are over here getting harassed by the US military because we lost a canteen cup at some point. Meanwhile, War Daddy's over here waterboarding an entire tank and just walking away like nothing happened and nobody cares. This is an unprecedented level of plot armor. So that's August 16th. He gets his new tank in the Mood 3. August 17th, the very next day, they come into a humongous battle. They catch up with an entire German armored unit that has 12 Panther tanks. Luckily, the Allied forces at this point in time have air superiority, so they radio in for some planes, and they come in and they bomb the entire Panther unit. Then, after the planes drop a bunch of bombs all over them, then all of the American Sherman tanks start to advance. And then a couple minutes later, another group of American planes come. They were either P-38s or P-47s, depending on which source you want to read. Doesn't really matter. Either way, American planes come, and then they proceeded to bomb everybody, the American tanks included. And during this bombing run, In the Mood 3 and the tank next to it would both be hit. Luckily, nobody in War Daddy's crew would be hurt. However, both of the tanks were knocked out. At which point, the battalion commander orders everybody to fall back because things have just went catastrophically wrong. Poole orders his men to all bail out and run back. Baby the driver and Jailbird the loader, both cool, dope. They hop out of the tank, they run back. It is now Poole and Schoolboy left inside this tank. The other tank right next to In the Mood 3 also bails out and they all run off. However, one of those crew members is hurt and they're laying on the ground. War Daddy sees this, hops out of his tank, runs over to try to save this guy, drawing all of the machine gun fire from the German side on In the Mood 3. War Daddy ends up making it over to this other tanker and helping to save him. However, Burt Close, Schoolboy, is now pinned down underneath In the Mood 3, so he just digs in and buries himself underneath the tank, hoping that he's not hit by enemy machine.
Il méritait quand même bien son nom, War Daddy. Je saute en bas de mon tank, je m'en vais chercher l'autre dude, même s'il n'est pas dans mon équipe, puis je m'arrange pour qu'il se rentre à la maison puis qu'il se fasse guérir.
Gunfire or an American plane. So that's all he does. He just lays underneath the tank and kind of buries himself in the dirt, and he waits, listening to the machine gun fire bounce off his tank as he hears American bombs exploding in the background, and he just waits. And 10 minutes go by, and suddenly somebody runs and dives under the tank, and it scares the shit out of Burt Close. And he looks over, it's an American, so he kind of relaxes for a second, but that dude doesn't see Burt yet. And Burt Close, Schoolboy, recognizes this guy. It was his friend from basic training that he hadn't seen in like 2 years. And Close remembers on the first day of basic training, this guy got asked a question by the drill instructor, and he told the drill instructor, "I don't know." And from that point on, throughout the rest of their training, that particular drill instructor would always tell this guy, What do you know? Bearing that in mind, Schoolboy asks the guy, hey, what the hell happened? And that guy responds, I have no idea. To which Schoolboy responds the same thing the drill instructor would have responded. What do you know? And that guy whipped his head around, recognizing the voice of his friend, and they were reunited after like 2 years not seeing each other, not knowing if they were alive. They've just ran into each other in the most unfortunate circumstance on the planet, and then they just hung out for the next hour in the middle of this firefight, catching up, because there's literally nothing else they could do, and it's the most army thing I've ever heard. Ever. So while
Pourquoi pas, man? On s'est pas vu depuis une couple d'années, on est dans un tank en train de se faire tirer dessus. Let's catch up, man!
Close is catching up with his buddy. War Daddy makes his way back to safety. He carries that injured tanker with him, and then he realizes that he's missing Bert Close, Schoolboy, and he was not about to lose another assistant driver and bow gunner, and he is ready to run back into hell to go get him too. He is then physically restrained and given a direct order to not. So like an hour goes by, Schoolboy and his buddy are just chilling underneath the remnants of In the Mood 3, waiting for the bombs to clear up. Finally, the German armor unit's forced to retreat. They get the all clear, the planes aren't going to be coming anymore, and then they just kind of get out from underneath the tank and walk back and everything's okay. So now the next problem is that In the Mood 3 is gone, they no longer have a tank. Well, by that time, they had already replaced the motor in the Mood 2, and they were ready to hop back in that. So the next day, August 18th through August 26th, War Daddy and the crew of In the Mood 2 go ham. They spearhead every single mission, driving further and further into enemy territory, wrecking absolutely anybody that gets in their way. Poole and In the Mood 3 are leading the entire 3rd Armored Division deeper and deeper in enemy territory, and during this point of the war, the 3rd Armored Division earns the nickname the Spearhead Division because they are leading the rest of the military into the fight because they are advancing so rapidly. It is literally the largest unhealthcare system in the world being spearheaded by War Daddy and his crew of In the Mood 2. They're pushing so hard, so fast into enemy territory that they start getting direct orders from the battalion commander to slow down and let everybody else catch up. There's accounts of In the Mood 2 taking out entire infantry companies by themselves, 250 men in a single day. And somehow, presumably,
Moi, je ralentis pas. Fucking catch up, man.
Divine plot armor, despite the fact that they are the first and sometimes the only one into a fight, they go completely untouched every single time. Then, August 27th, they come across a major set of train tracks, at which point they're all like, I got an idea, let's line the tanks up and wait. And that's what they did, and they waited, and they waited, and like 8 hours later, here comes a German train full of all types of cargo and equipment and tanks and armored vehicles rolling down the tracks, and a bunch of Sherman tanks just open fire, turning the entire thing into a shooting gallery, destroying absolutely everything on this train. At which point, Poole is like, cool, now that I know which direction the trains are headed, I'm gonna go get the next one. And he takes off heading the opposite direction that the train is gonna be coming, so he's gonna catch this train before anybody else. And sure enough, like an hour later, here comes another train headed in the exact same direction. It is now In the Mood 2 and this train going head to head as In the Mood 2 starts firing 76mm rounds into the engine of the locomotive. After 2 shots, it completely destroys the locomotive engine as the rest of the train glides to a halt. As they pull around and the rest of the train comes into view, there are 4 German Tiger II tanks.
Surprise, motherfucker!
They haven't even ran into one of these in combat yet, and there's 4 of them sitting dead on this train, but the Germans are running to get in the tanks to use them as artillery and get the guns aimed at In the Mood 2. And one of those German guns will absolutely destroy In the Mood 2. Probably with a single hit. At this point, Schoolboy starts using his 30 cal machine gun and War Daddy starts using the 50 cal up top to shoot at these German Tiger tanks. Not because it's actually going to hurt the tanks, but because all the machine gun fire is keeping the Germans from getting inside of them to be able to use them. And while that's going on, Groundhog is opening fire on the tanks with the 76mm over and over, finally being able to break through the Tiger tanks' armor, destroying all 4 of the tanks as they continue to destroy everything else on this train. For the next half hour, it is a complete shooting gallery as In the Mood 2 wreaks havoc on this now defenseless train. At some point, the rest of the tanks catch up and they chip into, but the majority of the credit ends up going to In the Mood 2. When the smoke clears, they make sure all the Germans are gone, and then they go in and see what else, if there's any cargo that's salvageable, hoping for, like, I don't know, German chocolate, or food, or most importantly, booze. And they go in and they start looking at all the cargo, and it's an entire train, besides the tanks and a couple armored cars that were on there. All the cargo is just like French lingerie and fancy perfumes and a bunch of woman stuff. Basically, they figured the Germans were just loading up trains full of anything they could find of value inside of France and trying to ship it back by rail to Germany to extract as much value as possible as they were being forced to retreat. Now, here's the silver lining. Somebody had the brilliant idea of like, hey, it's not food and it's not beer, but hear me out. The entire 3rd AD is on its way to Belgium right now. And if we show up in Belgium and we give all the ladies there a bunch of French lingerie and perfume, we're going to be heroes, and then maybe, just maybe, they'll wear it for us. If so facto, there's now an entire regiment of M4 Sherman tanks and armored cars full to the brim of fancy French lingerie and perfume headed to Belgium.
Excusez.
Now at this point, while everybody else is loading up lingerie and perfume, the chain of command is having a meeting because War Daddy and his tank crew just took out an entire train pretty much by themselves, including 4 German Tiger II tanks. So we need to get them some kind of award. So it becomes clear to the chain of command that these are probably the best tank crew that America has right now, and they would do a better job of serving the country if they were sent back home and sent on tour where they could tell their story.
C'était quelque chose qui était quand même populaire à cette époque-là. Si vous avez écouté d'autres vidéos de Fat Electrician, Ace of Aces, les pilotes qui étaient très prolifiques et qui étaient connus parce qu'à cette époque-là, à un moment donné, ils publicisaient le victoire pour le moral puis tout, puis faire en sorte que le monde continue à rentrer dans l'armée pour remplacer ceux qui se faisaient tuer. Fait que il faisait beaucoup de promotions puis des tournées pour encourager le monde à supporter, à acheter des war bonds puis à économiquement supporter la guerre. Fait que c'était important d'avoir ce genre de héros-là revenir à la maison puis aller un peu encourager les civils à comprendre ce qui se passait à cette époque-là. Fait que souvent, quand tu étais très bon à ce que tu faisais dans l'armée, ils finissaient par te ramener à la maison puis faire une genre de tournée de même. Là, si vous avez écouté d'autres vidéos de Fat Electrician, c'est quelque chose que vous avez déjà entendu. C'est une pratique qui était courante pendant la Deuxième Guerre mondiale. Puis souvent, le vétéran, puis les pilotes ou bien les snipers qui excédaient la moyenne, ils s'en servaient comme instructeurs aussi, ce qui leur permettait de garder un avantage sur l'ennemi, si vous voulez, là, en ayant des gens d'expérience montrer à la prochaine génération c'est quoi qui se passait.
And help sell war bonds, and honestly, they've earned it at this point. So the chain of command then orders Poole to fall all the way back to the very rear and let everybody else handle everything from here on out. Fast forward 2 hours later, whoever's spearheading the formation now comes up to this bridge, and this bridge is the only way across this river, and it's being guarded by 3 German Panthers, and leadership has no idea how to cross this bridge. So leadership has another meeting, and they're like, fuck, I guess, let's get War Daddy back up here. We need the main character. Bring him up.
Retourne à la maison, là. On va être carré quand on va se débrouiller sans trouver 2 heures plus tard. Oh, yeah, on est plus capable!
So,
all tanks, War Daddy. Looks like I'm in.
Poole gets the order. He pulls out of the formation, drives to the very front. Again, he's been gone for a whole 2 hours. He gets to the front, gets briefed on what's going on.
Et oui, si vous venez de rejoindre puis que vous avez vu la petite scène dans Fury, puis que vous avez reconnu le beau Brad Pitt, oui, on parle du personnage qui a inspiré le personnage de Brad Pitt dans Fury, Lafayette Poole.
Evaluates the situation. He looks off in the distance. There's this big hill on their side of the river. So he's like, okay, you guys stay here. I'm going to go handle this. So they drive up to the top of this hill. He now has a good view of the rest of the river, and he can actually make out one of the German Panther tanks. He can't see the other 2. He doesn't know how many are there. He just knows they're there. They're so well camouflaged, but he can see one of them. So he takes aim and he gets them ready, and he's like, we're just going to rapid fire this entire thing. He opens fire, and as soon as he fires, there's another round in by Jailbird, and they fire again and again and again, and they take out this first Panther tank, and they do it so fast, and they fire so many times that all the other tanks think that they're getting ambushed, and they start retreating.
C'est un bon film, man. Écoute-le. Vraiment bon.
There was only 2 tanks there. He sees them once they start moving, but those tanks take off thinking that there's way more tanks than just one attacking them. Meanwhile, Poole's entire unit's kind of just sitting there like listening, hearing tank fire in the background, wondering what's happening. A few minutes later, Poole comes driving by again and just drives right across the bridge. So everybody else is like, Okay, and then they follow him, and then problem solved, War Daddy saved the day yet again. At this point, Poole's probably thinking to himself, like, okay, this is the point where I'm supposed to stop, get orders, they're probably going to send me to the back of the formation.
Fury, c'est le genre de classique, faut que tu te retapes genre une fois par 3, 4, 5 heures parce que ça vieillit vraiment bien comme film.
Again, and he's like, but I don't want that, because off in the distance, a couple miles ahead, he sees a German town, and he knows that that town is probably full of all types of important German supplies, because a second ago, they had 3 German Panther tanks trained on a single choke point. It was a pretty safe place to be. And he knows that if he can get there in a hurry, he can probably take out a bunch of more enemy objectives. So he just hauls ass straight into this town, right down Main Street, and sure enough, there's 4 German ammo trucks full of German war supplies, and he takes out all 4 of them by himself, as the rest of the unit is desperately trying to keep up. After a while, some of the other tanks finally catch up to Poole, but Poole keeps leading them deeper and further into enemy-held territory, and at dusk that night, they'd be ambushed by more Panther tanks. And that ambush started by one of the Panther tanks
C'est genre fourrer les Allemands en faisant un genre de blitzkrieg dans le dents.
Shooting directly at In the Mood 2. Luckily, it was a glancing blow, and everybody was okay. In the Mood turns, returns fire, and scores a direct hit, knocking out the tank as the German crew bails out. But the tank didn't burst into flames yet, and that's not acceptable. So, In the Mood 2 advances to shoot this tank again. As they hit it again, the whole thing blows up, as In the Mood 2 gets hit again from another Panther tank. And again, it glances off the armor, and everybody's okay. But they don't know where the hell it came from, because it's so dark out, they can't actually see anything. So now...
Puis ils ont été chanceux parce que Chris Kelly Sherman t'es pas reconnu pour être fait tough.
They're just waiting, and they're waiting, and they're kind of moving back and forth, and this Panther tank fires at him again, and they could see the muzzle flash. The Panther missed, and In the Mood starts returning fire just in that general direction, firing blindly. And after 4 or 5 rounds sent that way, they see an enormous explosion and flames as they had scored a direct hit on the enemy Panther tank with pure luck. Any remaining German forces are forced to flee, and that was the end of that battle. They bed down for the night, they get some more gas in the tank, they get everything fixed, they eat some food, and the next morning, they take off again, driving further into enemy-held territory. The next morning, War Daddy and In the Mood 2 take off, hauling ass with the rest of the tanks. Poole figures that those 2 German Panthers ambushed them because they were trying to protect something, and he wants to find out what it was. So, he keeps charging deeper and deeper into enemy-held territory, and that's when he comes across an entire German supply convoy. And yet again, War Daddy and In the Mood proceed to turn this entire supply caravan into a shooting gallery. In the Mood alone is credited with destroying over 100 vehicles, 2 German Panther tanks, 2 other tanks, 3 German 88 anti-tank guns, claiming over 50 enemies KIA, claiming 63 as prisoners of war, and a ton of others wounded. When the smoke settles from this and the leadership gets to figure out what actually happened, it is decided that the In the Mood crew is all going to receive Bronze Stars, and Lafayette Green Poole is going to receive the Distinguished Service Cross. He would also be nominated for the Medal of Honor, but that was rejected for some reason. Something to do with being in a tank is a team effort, and he didn't do it by himself, so he doesn't deserve the Medal of Honor, which...
Il y a tellement de vétérans de la Deuxième Guerre qui ont été volés d'une médaille d'honneur que c'est juste à cause des détails de même.
Doesn't really make sense, but it never does. So, that happened. Now from here, it's pretty smooth sailing. They don't have much contact with the German military. They're pretty much just going from town to town, hanging out in a town at the end of every night. However, In the Mood continues to be the #1 spearhead of the entire division, and now, instead of being the first into contact, they're the first into every town, and that comes with its own unique set of rewards, because as soon as American tanks start rolling in, all the people come running out as they start celebrating that the Americans are here to beat the Nazis, and they start showering them with gifts, cheeses, breads, fruits, eggs, and most importantly, booze. So In the Mood gets first dibs on all the booze. This pattern repeats itself day after day for a little while, and then they eventually come up on a bigger city called Liège in Belgium. Once there, they take the city pretty easily, capturing 1,500 German POWs, and then they've essentially freed the town, at which point all the townspeople come rushing out to thank the Americans, and surprise, surprise, this city is full of very attractive young Belgian women. They start giving the soldiers gifts like food and booze, and in exchange, the soldiers break out the fancy lingerie and perfume that they liberated from that train a couple of days ago, and they start giving that back in exchange, and the entire thing turns into one gigantic block party that kind of ends up turning into a shit show, because all the soldiers spread out as they start sleeping with all these young women, showing them that inches are in fact better than centimeters, and everybody's just completely hammered. Which was fine, there was nothing wrong with that, right up until the next morning when the chain of command got the order to move out.
impériale parce que le métrique a jamais été sur la Lune.
Immediately. At which point the leadership, A, they're hungover, but B, they're kind of looking around. It's just like there's passed out people drunk all over the city, on the sidewalks, in the streets. It's chaos. The soldiers are all spread out because they all went home with different women. They don't know where like 75% of their soldiers even are. They radio back. They're like, we're gonna need a couple of days to regroup. We had an issue in town here. So after that, they spend the next couple of days regrouping and getting ready to move out again. After they get regrouped, it's off to the Siegfried Line, the border of Germany, guarded by dragon's teeth, mines, machine gun positions, and barbed wire. They have to finally make their last push and break into Germany. On their way to the Siegfried Line, Poole is informed that him and his crew are not going to be allowed to spearhead this mission either, and they are to remain in the rear because him and his crew are still going to get sent home early so that they can sell war bonds and be heroes. Poole is also informed that they are going to be taking away his loader. Del Boggs, Jailbird, is going to be sent all the way to the rear where he is going to have to undergo a vision and hearing exam for the next 2 weeks, pretty much the entire duration of the rest of their time in theater before they get sent back home. And the actual reason for this was because his brother had passed away in combat 2 weeks prior, and he was the last remaining son in his family, and the commander did not want to have to tell that man's family that he died in combat 2 weeks before he was supposed to come home. So he was going to be sent all the way to the rear where he was going to stay until he could get sent back to America. Bearing all this in mind, Poole agrees, and he is going to remain in the rear of the formation, and he's not going to be doing anything crazy. He is then assigned a brand new, fresh out of basic training, Private First Class Kenneth King to be the replacement loader for Jailbird, the best M4 loader in all of World War II. Somehow a German tank snuck past the American line and managed to ambush Poole's section, and the first tank they managed to shoot was in the mood. Poole immediately orders his crew to return fire, which they do, but the shell wasn't effective against the Panther, as he orders them to fire again, but Private First Class Kenneth King wasn't able to reload at the same pace that Jailbird was before him. So Poole orders Baby to throw it in reverse as he tries to get this kid more time to reload the gun. He ends up jamming the gun as the Panther fires another shell at In the Mood, and it punches through In the Mood and hits Private First Class Kenneth King directly in the head, killing him instantly. As Poole and Groundhog are both ejected from the tank, severely wounded, and the tank is still being thrown in reverse, being manned by nobody except for Baby and Schoolboy. Driving blind, they just continue to travel in reverse as another Panther shell hits In the Mood but glances off. After about 30 yards, they end up hitting a ditch and rolling the entire tank. While that's going on, Poole, who'd been ejected from the tank moments earlier, looks down to see that one of his legs has been completely shredded by the shrapnel. As he reaches into his pocket, pulls out a morphine syringe, basically a single one-time use dose of morphine, injects himself before pulling out his pocket knife and attempting to remove what's left of his leg. The nearby American tanks engage the German Panther, destroying it as a neighboring...
Je sais pas si vous avez bien entendu, mais s'il a genre fallu qu'il coupe sa propre fucking jambe. Ow.
Tank commander runs to Poole's aid. As Poole is yelling at him to go help the people in the tank, he doesn't. He runs up to Poole, injects him with another morphine syringe before calling medics to aid him. When the medics show up, they inject him with yet another morphine syringe, and Poole loses consciousness. The rest of the In the Mood crew survives, and they end up ultimately getting reassigned to different tank crews where they remain for the rest of World War II. Poole, on the other hand, has to have his right leg amputated 8 inches above the knee, and he is sent back home, where he spends the next 22 months in the hospital battling different infections, rehabbing, and getting fitted for a prosthetic. By the time he's released from the hospital, it is 1946 and World War II is over, and he is then immediately discharged from the United States military because he now no longer has a leg. Lafayette Green Poole, aka War Daddy, and his tank crew of In the Mood were in combat together for 81 days in World War II. And in that 81 days, they are credited with taking out 1,000 German soldiers, capturing 250 more, destroying 275 armored vehicles, and 12 German tanks. For this, Poole had been nominated for the Medal of Honor twice. The first time the paperwork had apparently been lost, and the second time he was just flat out rejected. He was, however, awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the Legion of Merit, a Purple Heart, the French Croix de Guerre, and the Belgian Fourrière. After being released from the military, he went back home to Texas, where him and his wife started having kids, and he worked as a mechanic at a gas station for a number of years. And then After a few years, the United States military came out with a special program where they would let people rejoin the military if they had special or desired talents regardless of their physical disabilities, and Poole fit that bill. He was brought back into the military to serve as an advisor and to help train the next generation of tankers. He would do that from 1948 until retiring in 1960 as a Warrant Officer 4. He then decides that his next life adventure is going to be a preacher, which he does for a number of years, which honestly makes sense because the dude is super good at putting people in touch with God. So he does that for a little while, and then he gets bored with that and he decides that he wants to give back and help the community, so he decides that he's going to be a teacher. He goes and he becomes a middle school shop teacher, and on the first day of any kid's shop class, he would always lecture them on the importance of safety and how dangerous power tools could be, right before drilling a hole directly into his wooden prosthetic leg, but the kids didn't know that at the time. After that, he finally does truly retire, and in his retirement, he forms a relationship with the armored units out of Fort Hood. They bring him out there, they let him drive in an M1 Abrams tank for the first time. He's blown away at how much better they are than the tanks that he drove during World War II. They also have him as the guest of honor at all their military events where he commonly gets to speak and he gets to know all the guys. And then in 1990, they're sent off to fight in Desert Storm. If you don't know, Desert Storm is considered to be the last great tank battles the world has ever seen. The last time that tanks were going toe-to-toe with one another on the battlefield. And the entire time that his guys were out there, Lafayette Poole was back home, glued to the news, watching it every single moment of every single day. And as Desert Storm, and by extension tank versus tank warfare, would come to a close, so would Lafayette Poole. His health began to decline and he would pass away at the age of 71 on May 30th, 1991, the very same day that he received word that his armored unit out of Fort Hood had made their way to Germany safely on their way back home to America, because Desert Storm was over, bringing a close not only to tank warfare as the world knew it, but the life of one of the greatest men to ever do it. So, in conclusion, if this has taught us anything, never underestimate what you can accomplish by cheating on your next eye exam. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com, and don't forget to go check out War Thunder, where you can play as
fucking true. Oh god. Dire que ça a commencé juste parce que genre le gars ça a commencé juste parce que le gars a triché. Il a réussi à rentrer dans l'armée parce qu'il a triché sur son examen des yeux. Mais au début de la vidéo, il citait 4 ou 5 noms qui sont rentrés dans l'armée et qui ont fini par avoir des rôles qui sont vraiment genre primordiales dans certaines batailles, puis qui ont vraiment forgé l'histoire moderne complètement. Pas d'autre manière de l'exprimer. Ils ont vraiment... Si c'était pas de ces gars-là, l'histoire moderne d'aujourd'hui ne ressemblerait pas à ça aujourd'hui. Pas du tout. J'ai le goût de... Qu'est-ce qu'on fera pas? Un petit dernier. Quel autre de mes créateurs de contenu j'ai le goût de vous présenter? Qu'est-ce que j'ai le goût de vous présenter ce soir? Ça sera un plan, ça. Ça serait même un excellent plan. Je pense qu'on va aller dans le passé. On va aller dans le passé, certainement. Je sais pas s'il y en a d'entre vous autres qui connaissent le nom de Harry Mack. C'est un gars qui fait du freestyle. Comme j'ai rarement entendu des gars faire des freestyles. J'espère que je vais en pogner un bon. Genre vraiment un excellent. On va aller avec celui-là. Juste parce qu'il y a un chiffre trop. Là. On va aller avec Omega Bar 69 par Harry Mack. Un gars qui fait des solides freestyle. Puis vous allez voir un peu le genre de contenu qu'il présente. Donc, je vous présente Harry Mack.
Oh, thank you. Hey.
Okay.
What's up?
Are you on a TikTok channel?
No, I'm not. I mean, I have a TikTok, but I'm not on a TikTok channel currently.
You just look like super professionally set up.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
What are you up to?
I'm on FaceTime with my friend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hi, friend.
Tell me I say hi. She says hi.
Oh, wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I do a freestyle rap for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, dope. Can I get 3 of the most creative, challenging words you guys can think of?
Flabbergasted.
Yo, that's so funny. One of the last people said flabbergasted. That's hilarious.
Wait, let me think. Ratatouille.
That's like a Disney movie?
Yeah. And tweezers.
Oh, tweezers is the last word. All right. Flabbergasted, ratatouille, and tweezers. Ratatouille is about a rat who cooks.
You ready?
That's fucking amazing. All right, let's have some fun. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's the energy we need.
Dark side. Light this bitch up.
All of my rhymes are amazing, my man. When the beat drops, you be waving your hand. Yeah, y'all know I'm sick with the flow. I turn Omegle right into a show. Every time I spit, I make them stand up. Even on the internet, I make you throw your hands up. Yeah, H Mack only on that big stuff. I have you dancing, I got you doing fist pumps. H Mack, man, you know I kick great rhymes. Peace out to your homies up on FaceTime. H Mack, I came to work the flow. I connect with the fans, even virtual. Yeah, I be ready to snap. I'm too nice with the raps. My name is Mac. I connect through the app. I'm on FaceTime right now, all up on your iPhone. Every time I rhyme off top, never write poems. I make it happen, I'm killing it truly. When I be rhyming, I'm doing my duty. Each time I spit, I be so animated. You would've thought this shit was just Ratatouille. Yeah, I'm about to snap. Other rappers can't really do it like the Mac. When it comes to lyrics, I'm the freestyle cat. I'm about to tell you a story all about a rat. Yeah, this rat, he would probably leave you shook. 1-on-1, yo, he could never be mistook. Told you, this rat was really for the books. Cause this rat here, yo, he loved to cook. Yeah, your whole entire moody was enriching. Ratatouille, the rat that you seen up in the kitchen. H Mack, I be coming right up off the top, I leave you dizzy. Animated like a flick for Disney. Yeah, y'all know I'm hot. All of my lyrics go right to the top. You started dancing as soon as it dropped and kept on dancing, you ain't never stopped. Yeah, y'all know I do it in a hurry. And my lyrics like a wave cause it's curly. H Mack, I be coming off the tip though. Every time I rhyme, I deliver with a sick flow. All of these rappers, they do fail. I'm here to say, I like your blue nails that I see on your hand. H Mack, I am not needing no plan. I see you.
Call out direct live. Ouais, t'as des ongles bleus.
Got them painted, all up with the polish. I'm the type of rapper that just has to be acknowledged. H Mack, I'ma make these rappers beg. You waving up your hand and raising up your leg. Goddamn, I'ma rock the whole world. H Mack, I'm about to let the shit unfurl. Get the stank phase when I'm in the dang place. Y'all know they can see me losing, but I can't either. I'ma get you lifted like you puffing on the reefer. I'ma kick a rhyme and turn you into a believer. Every time I rhyme and I never get stuck. These lyrics get plucked, kinda like I'm using some tweezers. Yeah, and y'all know I'm about to rip it. I be representing live for my district. I make you say woo, and I do what I do. And I'm never ever lying, cause I'm about to keep it true. Yeah, whenever I freestyle.
C'est quoi, genre le 4e flow depuis le début, man, il est malade.
I'm I make you cover up your mouth cause you smiling. Too big when I do what I did, I make you think right. I be shining like your room with the pink light. Yeah, I be spitting with passion. I'm making you laugh when I'm rhyming cause I do it with passion. Yeah, H-Mag, y'all know I be taking control. I spit from the soul and I be staying all in a roll. I got you snapping your motherfucking fingers. I'm a last forever, I'm about to linger. Yeah, and I know that you loving all the vibes and all the energy that I bring you. Now I've been going real long, so I'm gonna stop soon. But I had to make it known while I rock this tune that I really am about this. I'ma put a smile on your face every time I'm going wild in the place. So peace to you and your friends on the phone. I hope I got all of y'all up in the zone. It's H-Mac, I be improvising all the poems. By the time we finish here, around the world will be known. Let's go.
Woo! That was so good!
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. You made my day.
Hell yeah, I appreciate you. Thanks for saying that. Yo, real quick, before you go, I'm actually making videos for my YouTube channel right now. Would you be cool with me using this clip in one of my videos?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Shout out to your friend that said yes on the phone. That's amazing.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful night, all right? Yeah.
Je sais pas si vous avez pris le temps d'écouter, là, mais tu sais, genre, il prend chacun des mots, genre, pis c'est pas genre, je le place à travers, c'est quoi. Il va tourner autour, il va le préparer. T'entends le rhyme scheme aller vers ce mot-là. Tu penses qu'il va le placer? Non, il va te le placer genre 4-8 barres plus loin, man. Il va te l'avoir set-upé. Ce gars-là a genre 32 barres d'avance décrit dans le cerveau, man. C'est n'importe quoi.
I know. I forgot the word. I can't believe we're this deep in the series and this is just now happening for the first time. Trust me, I am just as flabbergasted as you are. What's up, guys?
What's up?
How y'all doing?
Good.
That's what's up, man. Can I do a freestyle rap for you guys?
Yes, please. Definitely.
All right, can I get 3 of the most creative words you can think of?
The Mavericks.
The Mavericks? Nice.
Airplanes. I don't know.
Okay, airplanes. Let me get one more.
The beach.
The beach. Mavericks, airplanes, and the beach. Those are the words. We ready?
Yes. Yep.
Let's have some fun. Yeah. Yeah. Hold up. You gonna let this build? Yeah. Come on. Hey. Yeah. Get ready for the tactics. Mac working magic. Every time I hit the court, I score like the Mavericks. Yeah, I'm getting loose on this fresh scene. Said I'm about to represent for the best team. I make it happen, rappers whack, so I'ma laugh at y'all. If I hit the ground, I bounce back like a basketball. Let the spit dribble off the tip of the tongue. The jobber ripping his son, yo, I'm getting it done. I got them bugging when I'm spitting, cause I do this with passion. And every time I'm rapping, I get jaw-dropping reactions. H-Mac, I'm in effect. I be setting my words free for the homie in the blue cap and dude with hair curly. Yo, anywhere I'm at, I grip the mic and I be testing you. Wildin' out like we up at the Guitar Festival. Y'all know that I be facing any challenge. You know, the Guitar Festival out there in Dallas. I read it off your t-shirt, then use the information. Yo, when I spit, I be winning by every indication. It's H-Mac, I'm not normal. Y'all know I got a rare brain. I get hype on mics, take flight like an airplane. Yeah, I will ascend to the heavens. I'm lifting off the runway like 747. Then again, to take flight, it is my honor, y'all. I'm more like F-22, cause lyrically I'm bombing y'all. Yeah, y'all know I'm really gon' scorch. I'ma take flight like I'm in the Air Force. Yeah, making them maneuvers. Y'all know I'm dropping bomb raps. Airports hit me up like, we need to make contact. He's coming in for crash landing. When dropping an anthem, I'm gaining the understanding. I represent for my branding. Got them all going, ooh.
Chacun des mots, c'est une histoire, man. C'est n'importe quoi. Chacun des mots, man.
They can't do what I do, cause every time I kick a lyric, dog, it spreads like a flu. Throughout the planet, I'm causing panic. I'm harder than granite, my flow is gigantic. God damn it, in the ship, I'm a minute. I don't plan it, dopest one on the planet, that much is known. H-Mac, I'm getting busy, y'all, I stay in my zone. Never no clone, so please prepare. Yeah, every time he rhymes, you know he's aware that he's gotta be the most sick MC in there. I'm never normal, cause I keep it rare. Y'all know I got the deepest flair. Yeah, staying out of reach with lessons I teach. It's like they in the city, meanwhile I'm out at the beach doing the.
They listen to that teach. They are city, I'm in the beach.
most. Y'all know I'm a rep for the coast. Said I grip up on the MIC, I brag and I boast. Yeah, I'ma make it happen in the dopest way. Said I crash into this beat just like an ocean wave. Yeah, every time I rhyme, man, I'm better in person. They wanna ride my wave, got my enemies surfing. H-Mack, I'm on it, man, I do it for y'all, fully evolved. If I was a wave 50 feet tall, matter of fact, H-Mack bring flavors like umami. I'm not a normal ocean wave, I'm a fucking tsunami. Yeah, I rise above, I be getting the love. Tsunami flows, when I'm rhyming, I be causing a flood. I'm really ill and still in the show like a villain when killing.
Like 16 bars later, still on Beachword.
Yeah, I'm the type of wave that could knock down a building. In fact, I'm more fatal. I'm a hurricane or a tornado. Hey, yo know I hold it down on the court fatal. Like I was playing for the Mavericks, that's full circle. If I'm in the cypher, I terrorize the whole circle. I used to smoke purple, I used to get high. Now all I do is grip mic, spit fly. This guy, big ties to the fucking industry. Never write the songs down, I make it happen instantly. Hey, yo, I'm really live up in the place. I got you bugging, got your fist straight up stuck to your face. Homie can't even take it down. I got the sacred sound. Never spit like these fake ass clowns. We gon' make it now. Peace of these two dudes up on Omegle for listening to how Harry Mack is spitting lethal. Y'all know I'm about to alleviate your time. I appreciate your time while I leak it from the mind. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, that was sick.
Hey, much love, y'all. Thank you.
Do you have like a YouTube channel or something?
Hell yeah. Let me drop my channel in the chat right now. I go by Harry Mack.
Alright, thanks.
Appreciate you guys. Y'all have a beautiful day, alright?
Alright, man.
Ce gars-là est à un niveau pas humain, mais au niveau du freestyle. Là. Il a amené chacun des mots, genre, pas une demi-seconde, genre, chacun des mots a pris un voyage, man. C'est genre. Couplets sur chaque mot, 3 couplets, pas vraiment de refrain. Pas tout. Il y a des fois qu'il va faire des refrains avec les mots, pis c'est n'importe. Le gars, à chaque fois qu'il rappe, tu payes sur record, tu cannes la tune. C'est pas compliqué.
Have a good day.
How do you put the screen bigger?
What's up?
Yo, what's up?
How y'all doing? You guys having fun or what?
No.
No. You're having a miserable time?
Who invited him? I didn't invite him here.
Oh, he invited himself?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Can I do a freestyle rap for you guys?
Where are you gonna post it? Like YouTube, TikTok?
First of all, we gotta see if it's even dope, you know? Like, maybe I'm whack. But we're about to find out. Can I get 3 of the most creative words that you guys can think of?
Discombobulated.
Discombobulated?
Wait, let me Google big words.
Oh, no.
Kleenex.
There you go. All right, discombobulated, Kleenex, and one more.
Boondingle.
What is that?
I don't know.
Get off Google. Use your own creativity. You got this. All right, discombobulated, Kleenex. I need one more. Not from Google. From your heart.
Takashi.
Takashi, yeah, Takashi.
Takashi 6ix9ine?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we ready. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Discombobulated, Kleenex, and Takashi. Here we go.
Why the fuck not?
Okay. Yeah.
Takashi 6ix9ine for the 6ix9ine episode. Come on.
Yeah. I'm the illest off the top of the dome. It's very well known and it's not debated. If you think I'm about to lose, well, you got it confused, man. You must be discombobulated. H-Mack, y'all know I'ma tear them all up. I make them all aware of this stuff. Yeah, y'all know I be hella dope when I be spitting and putting it in the open. I be getting ill in the zone. Stab through the verse, man, I'm killing the poem. Yeah, y'all know I built it on my own. Shout to the homie who be filming on the phone. Yeah, I know you wanna capture this, cause when I rhyme, they gon' press it right to master.
Total call out, man.
Every time I rhyme, yo, my tactics lit. Yeah, people yelling out, Mac can spit. I'ma make it happen, cause you know I always think bright. So my mind is shining, something like a pink light. H-Mack, I be calling it out. Killing the game is what I'm always about. If you whack, I'm about to cut you up. He turned to his friend and he said, what the fuck? Yo, this dude is incredible. How many styles does he have? I got several, yeah. And you know that they be loving my route. Every time I'm spitting, I'ma make you cover your mouth. She be sitting back like this, can't even believe it. Cause every time I'm rapping, I be tearing y'all to pieces. All the common words, we gotta stop the shit. No oranges and no hippopotamus. Yeah, every time I rhyme, I catch mean wreck. I'ma clean up the scene like a Kleenex. H-Mack coming through with the issues. Rappers be crying, they probably need a tissue. Y'all know that my flows are cold. So much so, you gon' have to blow your nose. Yeah, you know that my lyrics are all pleasing. Hat true, so slick that I'm sneezing. H-Mack, I be coming with the realness. Put it in your...
Tu parles de Kleenex. Achou-moi. T'essuies le nez. Continue autour du thème, là. C'est pas genre le genre de freestyle que tu fais juste placer le mot, on passe au prochain. Nah.
I'm about to make you feel this. I'ma keep on rhyming off the top until I'm dead, God. Every time I'm spitting, you be getting in the head, nah. I make them all feel the flow. When I be finished, it feels like a show. Yeah, I make them throw up my hands. About other rappers not giving a damn. My shit has never been bland. I break it down, make them all understand. Come off the top with the bomb verse, and I turn Omegle to a concert. And y'all know I'm spitting all the remedies. When I rhyme, I'm turning up your energy. Yeah, y'all know my lyrics hella godly. Every time I rhyme, I know my fans got me. And I'm never selling out on my homies, cause I never been a snitch. This is no Tekashi. Coming off the top with the sick rhymes. Speaking of Tekashi, I'm like 6'9". Why? Because I'm flipping the position. H-Mack, do my duty on my mission. In addition, I be stacking up my paper. Whenever I be rapping, I be pulling off the caper. Spitting the shit that's major. Doing it off of the top now. Every time that I'm rhyming, shining bright with a high style. Making it happen crazy when rapping. I've been taking the action, never slipping. When it be coming to rhyming, I got you tripping. Got you flipping out like you was off the LSD. Illest when I spill it off the tip, that's what they telling me. My God, I kill the flow. H-Mack, I put on a show. Yeah, sick is off the tip. I'm about to let y'all know. I said I do this. Show these rappers how it should be. I do this for the homie in the red hoodie.
How many flowing is he got?
This, yeah, y'all know I do my thing. If these rappers was that close behind you, still they couldn't hang. I'm the sickest with the slang, sickest in the session, sickest with the knowledge. I might drop another blessing. I might drop another.
Man, I used to freestyle. I was metal singer. Never known band. I couldn't do that shit. Not off the top. You know, I had texts in my mind for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and building up, practicing on riff I already know, and building up to the text. For my pals, that was looking like freestyle. I was freestyling for them, but I already had some lines and text and something built up inside my head. It's like right in the moment, calling out the pink light, calling out the guy on the cell phone, calling out everything he sees, and taking each and every word on like its own little trip. The Kleenex with like 8 bars, 16 bars, all to go through it. That's impressive, man. Pretty freaking impressive.
Lesson on the mic, I'm never tongue-tied. See how you got your hoodie strings right now? Reach through the screen, leave them untied. H-Mack, I'ma switch it up. About another rapper, I don't even give a fuck. Cause when I come right off the top, I got the passion. With the track, y'all know Mac never clashing. Yeah, you went ahead and untied it. H-Mack, I be staying on that fly shit. And y'all know I need to perform in the lab coat. Cause every time I spit, they be knowing I drop science. What?
That's a masterpiece right there.
Bro, you are so f***ing good, man. Damn, bro.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
Bro, I need your YouTube.
Hell yes. I'm going to drop it in the chat right now.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. That was Harry Mack. This is Omegle Bar 69. Easy to find on YouTube. Just write Harry Mack. It goes on the same, by the same name on TikTok and Twitter, I think. You'll find his link tree in every of his video. So if you want to follow him, Harry Mack, not complicated, fine. He's a great guy. Like, subscribe, give him some love. He's one of the best freestyler on YouTube. I think my personal opinion is he's the best freestyler on YouTube right now, and I just loved all this shit. At one point, I was trying to get on. Not on his Omegle bar, but on his Twitch channel, was doing freestyle with fans every Tuesday and Friday, if my memory serves me right. And you could join and try to get in the lineup to give him some word and hear freestyle he was going to do for you. But I was never able to, even if it was early or whatever. I wasn't one of the paying customers or recurring one. I've been like for like 3 or 4 months before I gave up. But yeah, I had a great time with his crowd and with his fan, and always sharing. He's all about love and positivity, and this is really the part of the message that really resonates with me. was the kind of easygoing, great guy, just having fun with people. That's what got me in really with the whole thing. You know what? I think I'll do one last before I'll get off, and I'll try to find something. Yeah, I know what I'll do. I don't know if you guys know about a guy named Jeff Castellucci. He's a bass singer in a band called Voice Play. Maybe you heard of the Philharmonics. Ah, tu parles français, on switch en français, pas de trouble. On finit ça avec Jeff Castellucci dans une petite vidéo pour la soirée que je vais réagir. Je sais pas si vous connaissez The Voice Play, c'est un band qui fait des tunes uniquement au vocal. Puis j'ai découvert il y a peut-être 1 an et demi de ça leur chanteur basse qui est complètement hallucinant. Puis ça, on va aller réagir à un de ses vidéos qu'il a posté, ça fait déjà 2 mois. Mais il fait Song of the Ring qu'on connaît probablement à peu près tous si t'as déjà écouté Les Seigneurs des Anneaux. Puis c'est ça, on va aller écouter ça. Aussitôt que la publicité va être finie pour moi. Puis on va aller écouter Song of the Ring par Jeff Castellucci. Puis c'est une vidéo de réaction, vous savez comment ça marche. Je l'ai même pas entendu encore.
The world was young, the mountains green, no stain yet on the moon was seen. No words were laid on stream or stone when Durin woke and walked alone.
T'es après chercher comme note.
He named the nameless hills and dells. He drank from yet untasted wells. He stooped and looked in mirror, and saw a crown of stars appear as gems upon a silver thread above the shadow of his head. The world was fair, the mountains tall, in elder days before the fall of mighty kings in Nargothrond and Gondolin, who now beyond the western seas have passed away.
Oh, YouTube elle l'aime pas. C'est un avertissement. Trop longtemps à continue. Ça a l'air qu'on finira pas là-dessus. YouTube a pas aimé ça. Bon. Sur quoi on peut finir d'abord? On va finir là-dessus. Écoutez, on va finir sur un avertissement de YouTube. Je suis désolé de vous couper ça dans la face demain, mais écoutez, moi, je m'en vais me canter. Il y a travail demain. Merci d'avoir été des nôtres pour un épisode expérimental de On s'en craque-tu une, l'after show, React Time. On va essayer d'en faire une de temps en temps quand ça va me tenter, mais que mon mot se pousse puis que je sois craqué pour ça. Merci d'avoir été des nôtres, la gang. À la prochaine.